All right, so we'll go ahead and get started. If you're not here for LodgeMaster, well, you're here, so stick around. Yeah. So I'm Chad Blanchard, and I have the privilege to serve as the project lead for the LodgeMaster project. With me today is the project advisor, keeping me in line, Michael Card, and our lead developer, Robert Anstedt. Our support lead on the team is Mike Gaffney. He's in sunny California. Also with us today is Dave Miller. He manages all things support and documentation and makes the tickets move and makes sure people are happy when they email us. Some project history. So in 2004, development began on version 1 of LodgeMaster. Version 1 was announced to the over-the-air at NOAC in 2006 and released for use on January 1st, 2007. Since releasing version 1 in 2007, we've had 58 releases. We've had 2 major code rewrites, with the first being version 3 in 2012, and the second major rewrite being this year in April with version 4. To date, all 278 lodges across the country are using LodgeMaster in some capacity. A year ago, every lodge submitted their charter and JTE through LodgeMaster for the first time, correct? That was the first year was required to submit through there. 2 years ago, every lodge has now been using LodgeMaster for the charter and JTE submission.
And 2 other updates to announce to everybody. First, I said this in the class yesterday too. Last NOAC in 2015, after the last class, we had lunch with this kid named Chad, who was interested in getting involved in the LodgeMaster project. And Chad has since become the project lead for the whole project and really leads our day-to-day efforts in working with everybody and getting content out there and getting information out there. And this is the first time that we had a youth involved in the project. So we've been making great strides to involve more people in the project and get more youth involved in it. So it's a great thing to bring Chad on board to the class. There are some seats if you guys want to sneak in and fit in between people. And the other thing, can we just give an applause? So Tuesday night, Rob Anstedt here was presented with the DSA for his work on LodgeMaster and on the app for NOAC here. So let's give him a round of applause.
There's some seats up here if you want to.
We won't bite.
No. This is some past information on the project. So in previous versions of LodgeMaster, we didn't have a self-service portal, or there's no member portal. Version 3 was built on Silverlight, a development platform that Microsoft is ending support for in the near future. In browsers, I had started dropping support for Silverlight, Google Chrome, and then Mozilla followed, and we were down to just Internet Explorer and Safari on the Mac. So it was getting harder to use LodgeMaster on any device. It wasn't mobile friendly due to the Silverlight requirements, and so the decision, and there was no advanced filtering. We weren't pushing out any updates to version 3 except for security fixes, bugs, patches. We were pushing out the charter and JTE modules and requirements every year, but there was no new development being done for new features. So it was decided in 2015 to rewrite LodgeMaster and do a complete rewrite. So that leaves us on version 4 now. It's a completely web-based, HTML and JavaScript-based web app with a redesigned user interface. We have a new offline client, new offline functionality. The new development platform allows us to bring on more developers because HTML and JavaScript developers are easier to find than somebody that knows Silverlight, especially with Silverlight being phased out. The new platform is able to be used on any modern web browser, so any device, phones, tablets, laptops, any OS that has a graphical browser and supports HTML and JavaScript, LodgeMaster will run in. So it's completely mobile friendly, works great on a tablet. There's some seats up over here if you want to. Some new features that we rolled out in version 4. User account management is now done through Arrow ID through our single sign-on system. If you registered for NOAC, you use the Arrow ID system. LodgeMaster is connected to that along with all the other OA systems. we are going to be adding our support center to that as well after NOAC. So all OA online systems will now use Arrow ID, so you just have one account for the over-the-air. We have new member and event grids in LodgeMaster. We looked at the grids and redesigned them. They're now responsive on mobile and on desktop. We have new email functionality in version 4. We still have HTML emails as we did in version 3, but we're now tracking a lot more information on emails, how email is processed and handled, and version 4 is completely different from version 3. And works a lot better and allows us more flexibility and will allow for us to do some cool things with email in the future, which we'll point out when we get to the demo of this class. We have a new reporting module to allow you to pull data out of LodgeMaster and export that to other systems and use it. Just a more robust reporting module. Advanced filtering, things like that have been enhanced for version 4. So now we'll dive into the demonstrations and demo some things. And this class will answer any questions you have. It's very question-driven. Where you guys want to take the class, we'll show you anything you want to see that that we can. So we'll jump into the demo.
Does anybody have any questions?
Yeah.
Starting on demonstrations, general comments. Are you going to talk about where you're going?
Where I'm, yeah, yep, we'll talk about that kind of as we go through, and at the end we'll touch on it as well.
Chad, you have a question back?
Who had it? So, yes.
I don't know if you're going to cover this or not, but one of the issues I have with using it is I'm inputting data into the system. It doesn't automatically refresh the old system. As soon as you put something in, you can see it. I just want to see that I have to log out and log back in to see my updates. Is there a way to do that?
So that is a Internet Explorer issue. I'm guessing you're using Internet Explorer. We have a cache issue. If you want to get technical with it, we are working on fixing that. For now, use Google Chrome, Internet Explorer, or even Edge if you have Windows 10.
Not Internet Explorer.
Or use Microsoft Edge in Windows 10. Firefox supports it. Safari.
There's something wrong in Internet Explorer that seems to be a very bizarre thing that
So,
they do.
and Edge comes on Windows 10, so you don't have to download. If you can't download something, Edge. Yeah, Edge is included for free, so that'll work. So to log into LodgeMaster, you can just head to lodgemaster.oa-bsa.org and head to the online Lodge client. You won't want to bookmark this page because this is our sign-on page, and this changes when you log in. So if you bookmark this, next time you use it, you'll get an error. So bookmark the LodgeMaster website. That way you don't have any issues logging in. There's some seats up here if you want to sit down up here. Mm-hmm. So when you sign in, it takes you to this new Lodge selector. In the old program, you'd select your Lodge and put your credentials in. That's no longer the case with our single sign-on. When you sign in, it takes you to our new Lodge selector, where any Lodge that you have been granted access in will show up here in a list format. You won't see this button, but the Manage Lodges will be there. And this is how you set a default. So if you only have one Lodge, which will be most users will just have their single Lodge. You can set it as your default Lodge, so that it'll auto log you into that. You can clear that. The one thing I want to point out here is the OLM3 account button. So when we migrated to version 4, we still are maintaining two account sign-on systems. So we have the version 3, and then we have the single sign-on. If you had a version 3 account, you can link it. So you hit I have an OLM3 account, enter your console and your old credentials, and it'll link it to your Arrow ID. This will be going away by the end of the year, so you'll want to link your accounts before the end of the year. We'll send out notifications on that. If you haven't done it, do it. Otherwise, you'll have to be re-invited. We're going to be wiping out and turning off that account management and getting rid of those accounts. You'll have to be re-invited through the Arrow ID system. So now we're going to go into the Lodge, and we're at the new dashboard. So this new dashboard, it's a lot of the same information as we did in version 3, but we do have plans to change this in the future and add some more to it. Our news, we are going to be adding a status update section here, so you'll be able to see our system status. If there's scheduled maintenance or something that's going to happen, you'll see that in here. Right now, it's just on our status page as a separate system, so we're going to pull that into LodgeMaster. The membership statistics, we've added 2017 to that, so you can compare years on there. So it's just a more functional dashboard. We do have plans to add some more widgets or tiles to the dashboard. If you have ideas of what you want to see there, you can send us an email or talk to us afterwards. We'll be taking notes during this, so if you have something you want to see added, let us know.
I assume the prior year, 2017, in this case, is year-end data? Or is it
Yes.
point in time?
The year-end data. So you can compare to where you were at. So we'll hop into the user management if there's no questions on the dashboard. So your user management, as we said, it uses single sign-on, so it's done a little bit differently than version 3. In version 3, you directly create a user account with username and password. No longer have to do that. We have the invite button. You search for the member in the database. I happen to know that Michaela's in here. It pulls in the email address that's on their profile. The email address here is the email their invite is going to be sent to claim their LodgeMaster account. This does not have to be their Arrow ID account. We get that question. This can be any email address. And so they'll get an email. So when you put in their email, they'll get an email with a claim code and a button to claim their account. They click that and they'll be able to sign in with their Arrow ID, and then it'll link them. So that can be any email. If you click this button, they'll have offline access, which will give them the button to download the offline client. If you're adding multiple users, you can hit the add another, and it'll keep this window open. You keep adding, but we hit save. And it brings up the new permission editor. This is completely different than version 3, and we'll get into the details and a little bit about where this area comes from. But what I show is setting permissions. It's done at the area level. We'll show you how to define those. We're going to hit add all. This user now has all permissions at the lodge level. If it's just a chapter advisor or a chapter chief or something, and I only want them to have access to probably this chapter, I can hit add all, and they only have access to members of that chapter. If I want them, if your chapters are divided, you have east and west, and you maybe have a couple chapters under there, and you have a chapter advisor that needs access to multiple chapters, you can grant it, like at the west, we have a chapter under there. That user then will get access to anything under the west group. So we'll add all. This user now has access to any chapter that we move under west, under the west organizational unit. So if we go back to users, you can see this is one place you do have to refresh to see the users that have been added. But we will work on fixing that. There's the user I invited. You can see he has offline access. He's a youth adult in the chapter that he's in. And then when his invite's going to expire and the email that we sent it to, if he loses the email for whatever reason, you can resend the invite. He will then get another invite and can claim his account. If they don't claim it by the deadline or that expiration date, it expires and you'll have to be re-invited. Yes?
When this email goes out, I've heard a couple of different things. It goes out from whom, so I know who to tell people what to look for.
Comes from OA LodgeMaster.
The address will show as no-reply-your council number at oa-bsa.org or at LodgeMaster.
Mm-hmm.
So it's the no reply at LodgeMaster. Because I've got somebody who has said she hasn't received an invite, but maybe that's what it is.
Yeah, it's no reply dash council number or just general. It's coming from an at lodgemaster.org address or lodgemaster.oa-bsa.org address. So they'll want to look at that. And I think the name on it's from OA LodgeMaster when they get that. Yes.
Deactivate somebody as a new chapter chief comes in, or remove the old one. Deactivate button, does an email or any notification go out to that?
No.
No.
They're not notified of that.
Yeah. It's a security reason for not
Yep.
doing that.
So that way, if you had to remove somebody that was, maybe doing something destructive in the database and you deactivate, they're not going to get notified that your account was removed. when they go to the lodge selector, it'll just be empty. There won't be anything there. So to deactivate, deactivate Mikhail. He lost his permissions to LodgeMaster. If we go to inactive users, you can see any user you've deactivated. You can't delete them from here. We had a request, I think it was yesterday or the day before, that talked maybe allow the option to delete them out of here. We'll look at that. But you can reactivate them. So if you find him in the list, he gets his permissions back. We can reactivate. Again, where you want the invites, you have to reclaim their account. So you enter their.
How do you know that they've been deactivated?
So I'm in. If you hit this inactive users button up here, and then the inactive users. So any account in here has been deactivated. They no longer have access to LodgeMaster. And it'll show over here the invitation details. Like this person claimed it, and we deactivated it. This one, for example, they didn't, but we deactivated it. You can revoke offline access with the button, so then they lose access to the offline client. They lose the download button over here, so they can't download it, and they lose access to the actual offline client. Just like that. Any questions on users? There are a couple reports in here with login information, so you can see login history for users. So you can see when they log in, if offline access. That way, if you're trying to track down, maybe some changes that happened in your database, or just when somebody was logging in, we do have that data, and we export that. So this is a good example. You can see the login history for this user. Yes. Yes, I will show you that when we get to the members section. Yep, there's a similar to version 3. You can select multiple years at one time and report on it. So that's users. That's the new user management. We're going to go into settings. I'm going to start with the general configuration. We didn't point this out yesterday, but some things have changed on it, so I want to point that out. We have added default state and country here, so you can change this. If your lodge spans more than one state, you can only put one in here. You'll have to pick the one that's most used. You put save the default secretary name now. Before that was on a per card printing basis. Here you can set the default contact locations for email that's sent. So by default, we're only sending to primary. But you can go in and change this. So if you always want to send the primary address, but you also always want to send to the parent's email address. If you add that, parents will now be copied on every email that you send from LodgeMaster. And you don't have to change it on a per email basis. You can, but by default, yes, that pulls into events for email. It won't work for parent email and events though, because we don't pull custom contact types into email or into event email. So if you're going to use this feature, you'll need to do it in members. But also, if you want to email custom contact types, work or parent or mother, father, or council address or whatever, you have to do it from members.
And we'll show you how to do that later on.
I'll show you that. I didn't save that. Mike's going to talk a little bit now about the membership start month and the unit election start month and how that affects your lodge. Want to talk about that?
Yeah, so we made one sort of change in the LodgeMaster Force setup. The membership start month really hasn't changed. That's to define what your membership year is. Most councils are January to December. There's a couple that are like in October, November through the next year. And then there's like one or two that are like July to June. So everybody's got a little different thing going for that. But that's really just to define when your dues paying year is. So if you start collecting dues in January, or that's what you count for the year, that would start as January. What we changed this time is the unit election start month. And if you see, it's now called unit election start month relative to member year. And what you want to do for that is set that in what relationship to that start month for the membership year it is. So I'm going to use as an example my lodge. My lodge's membership year is January to December, but we actually start elections 3 months earlier in October of the year before to count for that year, just because that's how that's how it works with doing elections in the units. So you can see it's set to -3 in there. And when Chad saves it says starting October 2017 for the January 2018 membership year as an example. So what that's doing is saying when I do election counts and ordeal induction counts and all sorts of other stuff, make sure you include those unit elections that took place in October to December of that year, as well as the stuff going into the membership year for that year. So make sure you set that setting correctly, because that's really what drives a lot of the numbers in JTE and in all the different statistics and reports that we have in the program. Making sure that's aligned with how you actually operate really improves how the program calculates everything. And we changed, in version 3, it was just a start month, but we didn't know how to relate that to the membership year. So this time it's actually a plus or minus, so you can roll forward from your membership year or you can roll back from your membership year. Yes?
Just to clarify, is that month when your elections first start or after they've ended? So if you're
Month they first start. So if your membership year starts on January 1, 2018, ours is set to -3 because we started elections in October 2017 for that membership year. That's how you want to think about it. Yes.
So an election isn't aired before that -3 or whatever you put in there, that's going to count for the following year?
Previous year.
If you don't enter the election prior to October 1, will that count for which year?
If you don't.
So for the example of my lodge, anything you enter from as an election date between October 1st of 2017 and September 30th of 2018 is going to count as part of the 2018 numbers. Does that make sense? Yes, based on the election date, yes. Yeah.
And so the reason this is important, something we discovered this year, we had actually manually set all of our election dates to January 1 just to make sure that they were in the current year, but missed a couple, so they didn't show up on our candidate list for this year because they were elected in December.
Right. So if you just set that date, you don't have to manually fake the election dates anymore. It's going to work for you and let you do what you need to do.
In our case, we have a lodge that runs calendar year for dues and a lodge year, but our last ordeal is in roughly the middle of October because we come from pretty joint climates, and we allow units to have units or just chapters to have elections anytime.
Okay.
So if you got somebody in before that ordeal in October, they really got that one plus some the next year, but not the last one. And in the case of if they're after it, they can cover everything.
Okay.
So what do we set it at? -3 for being in the middle of October, the last ordeal being in the middle of October? Or
You'd probably want to set it at after that last ordeal, and what?
Like November 1st, maybe.
Yeah.
You're not doing decimals here.
Right. We're not doing that. Somebody asked if we could set it in a day in the month yesterday, and we said no. So there's certain things that would just make the whole program much more complicated.
No, a different way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, one of the things that we run into is, let's say somebody does an election in May,
Okay.
but they don't do their call out until July, because they want their summer camp.
Okay.
And the rules state that the election count, their year count starts with the date of the election.
Yes.
Is there a way that you can go in there and, because if they don't get a call out until July, then they're gonna get hit for that 3 months behind.
Yes. It is based on the election date, so there's no real. Yeah.
Yes. Yes, you.
So just to back up a little bit, I'm not talking about that. So the screen you're on,
Uh-huh.
lodge configuration, so if you click on settings, I get to lodge structure. How did you get to that? How did you get to that?
If you hover over Lodge, configurations of when we're on.
And then, hold on.
If you're on a tablet, it's just showing the wheel. It doesn't show the.
Yeah. On a smaller screen, it'll just show the wheel, and if you click on the wheel, then it'll drop down, and you can see the other configuration options. So a little cog,
Little cog gear.
gear, settings icon.
It should work on a phone.
Oh, so if you're on a phone, click the, so we'll give you some
downloading.
idea. Click the 3 lines, and those things actually move to the top of the menu, so you can always access it anywhere. And if you click Lodge and then Configuration. So we've made it mobile friendly, so you can access it from anywhere.
Hey, did you forget it? Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah.
Can you repeat? Can everybody? So let's do one question at a time. It's hard to hear everybody in the room. Yeah. Go ahead. Sorry. It will affect the statistical counts. If you run like the vital statistics report for past years, it would change that. The JTE numbers are locked in, so once you hit submit on those are locked in firm forever, so it won't change any of that stuff.
You had a question? Yeah.
In your scenario here, do you select a report or go into the members and say, hey, I'm going to go down to that report to elected candidates? Will it automatically fill in the dates October 1st through September 30th?
Yes.
Yes, absolutely. It will change all of those fields and all that configuration, and that's how we want it to work. Is so once you set that correctly, everything else sort of falls in line after that. Anybody else have questions on any of the configuration stuff or membership years? That's sort of one of the confusing but also very important parts about the program.
We ask everybody to please stop the side conversation so that we can hear the questions and hear the answers.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Thank you.
It's really difficult.
Is there a question in the back? Did somebody have their? Yes.
We can show you when we get into members, absolutely. Do you want to go through any of the rest of the configuration?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
We generally do our call-outs at the end of January, but we start our elections at the end of August because we give the units time to get back into the swing of things. So should we be setting our unit election start month to September, even though we actually start them around the end of August, or should we be setting it for August?
I would probably, are you also doing events in August or anything like that?
We've got a call out around the middle of the month.
I would probably set it to September 1st and actually start the unit election dates on September 1st just so that you're not overlap, because since it can only be 1 month, not overlapping the two.
Yep.
Right.
Yes.
When we started on LodgeMaster day one,
Mm-hmm.
and the guys who started it decided that it was really important to put the VSA numbers. So when
Those guys aren't involved anymore. That is true. You can bust his chops about it.
started running an audit, and the only guy that came up in the audit was me because is there a way that we can get a batch?
There's no easy way to add those to your existing records, unfortunately.
Boy Scouts and have them sit there and
If you send us a list of oil MIDs and match them up, we could.
Yeah, so
import
if you
them.
match them up in an Excel spreadsheet, we'll happily import them for you. So the process that a lot of lodges do, either one, they get a full export of all scouts from their council and do a manual matching, or if you got a really good Excel guy, about 10,000 VLOOKUPs, and you can get things matched up for probably 95% of people, and then you can do some manually. Or they just start at an event and start collecting, when you register for it, we need your BSA ID. You got it. And so one person at a time, you start filling in that list. Right.
Yep.
Same thing, and at least you're collecting 95% of them, and then you can collect work on the rest from there. We'll talk a little bit more about BSA IDs and integration though later, because that's something coming.
Was there a question? Somebody had their hand up over on that side.
No.
One of the things that we had a problem with that was the name matching. And I don't know if there is a solution for this. Like, for example, I'm John Crum III. My father's John Crum Jr. But the
we have a solution.
Like when we registered for this conference, we had problems. In fact, our schedules got mixed up, and we have other people in our lodge that have that same. So you have a solution?
We'll get to.
Yeah,
We'll show. We'll talk about that.
Yeah, we'll talk about. We're going to talk about integration and stuff in a little bit. Yeah, so we're going to talk about the improvements to that whole process later on in the class. So.
It's coming. It's coming this year. So in Lodge, the other thing that's completely new is this idea of the Lodge structure. And so this was built to allow you, because every Lodge is different in how they structure positions and organize chapters in their organization of the Lodge. And so in the old system, you just had a list of chapters, like we have a list of districts now. It was just your however many chapters, and that was it. You granted permissions either at the Lodge level or the chapter level. There was no granular control of access, and there's no multiple chapter access. Some lodges, have an east and west, and under there they may have 3 chapters each. In the old system, you couldn't. They had access to 1 chapter for the lodge. So this new system allows you to create organizational items or committee organization levels in your lodge and add chapters under them. So in our demo lodge here, we have the lodge with our chapters. Then we have a west, which has a chapter under it. We also have a vice chief of program, and under him is the vice chief of elections. Under vice chief of service, we have 2 positions. We have camp work days and 1 day of service. Currently, you can't assign permissions at a committee level. That is, we're building out the committee module yet. This is something new in version 4. We didn't have in 3. So in the initial release, we have it so you can start setting up your structure before we go enabling permissions at the committee level. But what you can do is permissions where there's chapters. And so under here, at the, what is that?
Those are positions. You're just showing positions under. You're not in users.
Oh, okay, yeah. I was going to show, okay. So these are the chapters, and under the chapters we have these. You can move these, move, this is actually in West, in the organizational unit, or the organization of West. You do have to type the name in there to move it. Westlake is now under West, and you could create one for East. If you add a child, you could go East and set the type as organization and hit add. We now have East. If I want to move this, you hit move. Go to East. Enter the name and hit move. And you start building your lodge structure out. And so then, if under the vice chief of programs, we have, you can add one, and you have your vice chief of money. And you add them under there. You hit add. There's our vice chief of money twice. You can deactivate the second one. There is no delete. We'll look at adding a delete. We have to be careful when we do that for things tied to this, and I'll show you, later. I'll go back to user and I'll show you where this comes into play. But for now, you can't delete them and you can't merge chapters. So I'm going to show you a new merge tool in a little bit. We can't merge chapters yet. There's a lot involved with merging chapters that can cause, you could create a big mess in your database very, very quickly if you start merging chapters and you start moving people and permissions and positions. So we don't have that yet.
Before we take questions, just to reiterate, the idea that we created this whole lodge structure is really to mimic how your lodge operates. So we didn't offer the ability before to have this east or west and have assignments under that. We didn't offer the ability to have a vice chief of whatever and the committees that he's responsible for under it. We want you to operate in LodgeMaster in the structure the same way your org chart looks like in your lodge and how everybody reports up to everybody and it rolls up to the lodge. Because that way we can do permissioning and all sorts of other things in that structure. So now Chad's created that east and west. And now when you go into users, you can assign someone permissions on East, and that'll give them access to the 2 or 3 chapters under East and West at that point. And you only have to give access at that one level in the structure, and that they'll automatically get all the permissions that are under that. So basically, you can assign everybody permissions at wherever they are in the org chart, and then they'll be all set, and they'll have permissions for things under that you give them access to. And that basically leads us to allow to do both permissions and positions, all sorts of stuff correctly, so that we can order your org charts and your LEC sign-in sheets and all of that stuff just the way it should be done, whereas before we didn't really have that option.
So you can move these too if you put in the wrong. This one, we'll have to look at why that one's not moving like it's supposed to. But you can move that to program. We'll look at why that doesn't move. But I can move. I was moving those chapters around. So you can create this, and then when you're in users, we look at Mikhail over here. You can now see I could grant him permissions at the East chapter organization. And so any chapter under East, he will now have access to if I add all permissions. Every chapter we add under there, he now automatically gets access to. And so when you're moving them, keep that in mind that if somebody has access at East and you move a bunch of things under East, they're not going to have access to that. For the time, we don't have permissions for these committees, but that is something we're adding, so be able to grant committee level permissions. So your Vice Chief of Elections could look at all the chapters and see everything in those chapters. Is there questions about this lodge structure?
Yeah.
Yes.
Can you give access to say someone from a chapter where they can only write for their chapter but read for the entire lodge?
Yes. So we can do that right here. So this person has access to the Westlake chapter. He has all permissions there, but he also needs to see this chapter, but he only can view members and view events. Now he has access to his chapter and to this chapter to view only. So we do have granular control like that. Any other questions? Yes.
Can you go in and see who has, if you're moving the lodge structure around, can you go in and see who is hooked into what, so
We don't.
you can get rid of or that kind
We don't have a report for that. Maybe that's something we could look at.
Which direction is that? For users under
to see.
Yeah, because I was looking at ours.
To see what
we have a bunch
users.
of,
Yeah, we talked about building that out in the
Yeah.
structure area so that you'd both be able to see the positions and also the users that have assigned permissions under an area. So that is actually something already on our to-do list.
I think maybe yesterday that came up.
No, it's something we'd talked about when we were originally developing. It's just something we didn't have time to get in there in the first release.
So if we go back to settings, lodge.
The one thing I'm concerned about when you're setting up user permissions is if you click the all, it gives them delete access as well.
Mm-hmm.
The way I've set it up in the past, not on this one obviously, is delete. Even if you click all, delete is never selected. You have to manually select delete just because of the issues of giving somebody deleted access. Is that something you give in consideration?
Yeah, I mean you could select all and deselect that one box.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, that
it's only the one breakout that has the delete. So.
Mm-hmm. But in that lodge structure, you can then add positions, and so we've messed with this one quite a bit. But I know one of these has. All right, so this is a chapter. So at the chapter level, you have all your chapter positions. So you have your chapter level positions. But if we went to the lodge level, we have the lodge level permissions. So this is also new in version 4. In version 3, you had positions, and if it was a chapter chief, a lot of councils, had chapter chief dash, Chief Pomparock dash Westlake. Now you can just have chapter chief, and you can add that position to all of your chapters. In the migration, you may have multiple in there, just how things were migrated. So this is something you could go in and start cleaning up. I'll show you how to merge positions. But when you're adding positions, just think about where they fall. A chapter chief is a chapter position. You wouldn't add that to the lodge level structure, where the lodge chief you wouldn't have in a chapter. Yes.
Okay. In LN3, there was an attribute of positions as to whether they were an LEC position. And a box of that, I don't see it in what we see there. But
Exec committee.
Exec committee.
Exec committee, okay, all right. So you could.
Suppose we should change that to LEC.
Yeah, we could. We could rename that to LEC. Make it.
I don't know if that's national or not, but certainly.
Yeah, and then we also have this lead. That's a good question. We also have this lead button. So if it's like a committee in the future, we'll be able to add the lead and the lead of that.
Yeah, so advisors set up under position types, which Chad will show you in a second. And the idea is you can mark a lead youth and lead advisor for every chapter or every committee or even the lodge. You'd mark the lodge advisor and lodge chief as the lead. And that way later on when we start doing other things inside the program, let's say we want to say, add a contact form for a chapter or something, we now know who the lead youth and lead adult is, and we can use that, we can leverage that information for other things in the program.
Yes, in the back.
I'm assuming when you get the reports, you cover this, but like for LEC attendance, if you're marked as part of the executive committee at this level, will that automatically come into the LEC attendance report?
Yes.
Mhm.
Yes. Yep. Yes.
Okay, two questions. One is, does this structure match up to what's available in the drop-down when you do positions?
Yes.
Yes.
And that's the universe of what you see in the drop-down?
Correct, yes.
Yes.
They all gotta be there. Second thing is, can I safely assume, it appears that you have absolutely nothing to do with districts. Is that a reasonable
Nope.
statement? In
We
terms of them enforcing anything or doing?
Only units can be assigned to districts. That's the only usage of districts inside the program.
But that, over in the member world, it doesn't matter.
No, you don't have to use districts in
Correct. You don't
LodgeMaster.
have to use districts at all if you don't want to.
You
It's
can
more of a
leave them.
reference thing.
Okay, but they're not a validator in the database.
Correct.
No. So to set up these, there's the districts. You can add them in here. But what I want to look at is position types because this falls into this structure. And so we were talking about setting as an advisor. So this AeroCorps advisor.
Corpse.
AeroCorps advisor. It is set as an advisor there. That flag is set, which carries over to the position, to the lodge structure if we uncheck that. They're not an advisor position. You can still assign it to adults. That has no bearing on that, but for reporting in the lodge structure, that's set as an advisor.
Yeah, we haven't leveraged all of that yet, but the idea is if you mark an advisor and they're added to a committee, now we know if we have a request or we need to do something where you want the advisor to always be notified when something else happens. Now we know who the advisor for a different spot in the structure is, and we can leverage that to send notifications or do something else. So,
you can add position types in here. Because I need help.
Yes, you do.
are you going to assign that to me?
So here's a good another real life example. I found one yesterday. This is what I was looking for now. So you can see this is from when we migrated from version 3 to 4. You could have this. So we have 2 events associate advisors, which you don't need 2 in your database of the same exact position. But I'm guessing they were chapter level specific in version 3. When they migrated to 4, this is how we brought them over. But we have this merge button, and you can merge this into the duplicate.
It's alphabetical.
Good, it only shows one.
There's this button here. You can delete. So when you merge, we don't delete the old type. If I didn't check this, when we merge them, you'd still have 2 associate event advisors. So if we check this, when we do this, when we merge, we only have 1. So that cleans up your database. This is a way for you guys to go in and start cleaning up your positions and build out your lodge structure.
And please be very, very careful with it.
Yes, you don't want to merge a chapter chief into a lodge chief position. That would make a very big mess of your database because it's going to update every record.
The reason we put that extra field in there to type the name of the position and that you're merging is to ensure that that is exactly what you want to do, because once you do it, it can't be undone.
And depending on your lodge, it could be hundreds and hundreds of records. We have no way to easily update those. There's no undo. So just be careful when you're merging. If you're merging 2 of the same type, you're fine, but just keep that in mind. Yes?
I don't know if you're going to cover it when you get over with event locations. I tried to merge and it doesn't work.
Oh, yeah, we'll go there next. Yes.
If we wanted the chapters, look, we have a lot of chapters, look at the structure we've got in here to see if it matches what they're using currently. Is there a way to print a comprehensive list?
We don't have a report for that yet. You'd have to go in here and just look at it on here and select your chapter and see what positions are under there. That's something we could add a report for. I think maybe that was mentioned yesterday, or it's just on our list to add a report for that.
Thank you.
Yes. Not yet. That's something we'll look at doing. When we start merging chapters, though, that it's very difficult. There's a lot involved. A lot of things we have to take into consideration because there's a lot of things tied to chapters, positions, and people, events. So when we start merging chapters, there's going to have to be, you have to enter the admonition about 50 times and agree many times that we will not fix what you break. So yes, it's on the list to look at. Time frame of that we don't have. If you need to do a chapter merger, though, if your lodge is going through a restructuring, or your council is, and you're changing chapter alignments, you can email us, and we can do some work behind the scenes in your database to merge things and make new chapters and move people around. That's just not something on the user side you can do yet. Yes.
So we actually did merge a couple of districts, which obviously merged a couple of chapters.
Mm-hmm.
So then we had to move everybody from the two previous ones into one. Is there a way to do a bulk change?
No, you can email us, and we can do it for you, but there is no way for users to do that. So that merge functionality is in address types. It's in all. It's not in address types because that would be very messy when we start merging contact types. You wouldn't want to turn emails into addresses, and the system won't let you do that. But if you start merging addresses, that could create a mess. Same with contact types. We don't allow merging of those, but you can add all the different custom contact types you want. If they have a lodge email account or something and they're on the LEC, you could add that in here and always email their lodge account in addition to their personal account. That's somebody asked about a council account where you always email their council account. Same with the data types for awards and resources. This is the same as version 3. But event, somebody asked about locations or types, and locations. Let's see. I don't know if there's
JCC of Greater Bridgeport's duplicated.
So we'll merge this.
It's also a pile of dirt now.
So again, this is, you can leave the old one or delete it. I'd delete them. And to the name, it's irreversible. Hit merge. We now have one. Anything related to that, to the old one, they were the same name but different IDs in the database. They're now under this new one.
If you saw anything odd happen, it's possible it moved the people into the new one, but you didn't check that delete box, so it didn't delete the old one. So you have to make sure you check, if you want to get rid of it, you have to check that delete box. That may be, because it looks like nothing changed, but it'll actually have moved the people over to where you merged it. It just didn't delete the old one.
So like if, for example, my office, I lost my office for some reason. We moved my office, we merged it. So any events that were tied to that have moved, my office is still there. I could then go in and delete it because there's nothing associated with it. If there was, it wouldn't let you delete it. There's things associated, events associated with it. The error messages we are working on cleaning up, like this one cannot delete because we'll add some more to that one. Rob,
Yeah. Could you write down that code number, please? By the way, if you get a code number, see where it says code 2003?
Send it to us.
Let us, if you get that type of code and it's, and you get a message that looks sort of garbled like that, send a ticket into us, include the code number and what you had done, because every single error that does get sent back down to you is now coded, so we can look exactly in the code where it is. So that code number is very important.
Yes.
Okay. This merging of the
of the, do they have to be exact spelling in both cases?
No.
No, you could merge Camp Pomprog into Camp Sequosin if you want. If you can do whatever you want.
On Pikes Peak Council, there's no apostrophe on Pikes, but there is somewhere a location in one of my records that is the apostrophe. I want to get rid of it.
So now you can. So this is a perfect example. So you would just merge them into the correct spelling, and then when you on the merge thing, just hit delete, and it'll wipe out that misspelled one. Yeah, it is a great way to clean up.
I will not merge my home camp into another one.
I will not merge Mike's camp into another one. We will leave that.
Chad, you have a question?
Yeah.
Is there a way to like make primary event locations? Because first we did a COC at one camp and we've never been back.
Mm-hmm.
But yet when you pull up the list, it's always you gotta filter all through that.
I think that's a valid.
That's a valid. We'll add it to the list. Never thought about that, but well, my advisors are making notes.
Yes, boss.
Yes.
Getting ahead, just so I don't forget,
Uh-huh.
can you do the same merging and correcting technique? Can you do that with event roles?
Event roles, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, I know I'm ahead of you here. But
No, but yeah, this merges in most modules except the ones that we can't merge for complexity reasons.
It's in events and ceremonies. It's not really in members because of complexity reasons.
Yeah. A long time ago, somebody put P instead of participant, and I couldn't find it, so I changed it to Q in the table so that it wouldn't show you. So you type with a P, it wouldn't come up, and you get participant. And I want to get rid of that somehow.
Yeah. So you can definitely merge that.
Another common one is payment type. So we.
Yes. Thank you.
So that was a free-form field in version 3, which may not have been the best, or in version 2 and version 1. So that may not have been the best database decision ever made. So we basically took all the values we found in all those fields in events and members and put them into this one table. And you can't free-form type into that anymore. You have to use the preset values. So you can start cleaning all these up and get them down to the couple type that you actually use.
Another real-life example in a database.
Right, so somebody typed in credit instead of credit card, so we can merge all that into credit card and
the important checkbox.
And the merge functionality was developed specifically for this, and we were able to roll it over into other areas.
So now you can go clean up your databases a little bit.
Yeah, because I know, like everybody else, our lodge had one that said, like, transferred Johnny from May to June, and God knows where Johnny was.
Like those right there,
yeah.
Move to transfer.
You're right, yes,
yes,
right.
Yes. And you can do this multiple times, so I can merge transfer May, so I can merge this one into transfer.
Chad's being good today and not copying it from the title into the box.
And I didn't check that box, but I can delete that. This May, then you can still merge again into transfer, so we don't restrict merging multiple times.
It is case sensitive.
And now I clean up the transfer. We don't have random transfers in there. Yes.
My question is more from the chapter advisor standpoint, like with the events and the locations. I don't have the ability to go in there and actually add anything. I have to pick from the list, and a lot of times that list doesn't agree with the locations. So is that more of a thing where before, if I needed it, I had to send it to our LodgeMaster?
It's tied to anybody who has system setup access.
So to do anything in these menus that we're in, you have to have system administrator roles. Say that again. Under settings and events and locations. And that won't be changing just for a security reason. So you'll still have to
so like base setup of the system all ends up in here.
But there are the roles. Somebody asked about roles. You can do the same thing. Types, you can do it here as well. If somebody got crazy and created duplicate types or similar, you can merge them together. Any questions and settings before we get out of here? Yes.
You said on the
Oh yeah, I guess I didn't mention that, but on any of these you can add custom type. Yesterday we had Bitcoin.
So now it's Chad's bank account.
We had gold today. If somebody's paying gold, you can add that.
That would be fun.
Yeah, we'll get you a Bitcoin address. You can send Bitcoin to. You can deactivate these. I guess I didn't touch on that, but you reactivate. If they're not allowed to pay in gold anymore, you can deactivate that. Same with the Bitcoin if you decide that's.
So and maybe
Dumb
instead of
flag.
adding a primary flag to locations, we'll add a deactivate concept to that, and ones that you have only
Yeah.
used once and you won't use again, we can deactivate. And that would be similar to all the rest of how the program works.
Yes.
Are these capabilities different between a computer versus a phone?
No,
Shouldn't be.
no, they're not.
I'm going through mine right
It's just going to look different.
now, come up with an unknown error, every one of them.
We can take a look after the
Yeah.
class. There's no known mobile problems with
Everything
that specifically.
online works in mobile.
Yes.
That we're aware. I mean, if you.
You have to access it through browser on the mobile, right?
Yes.
Yes,
I mean,
there's no
everything
app.
should work. If something's not working in mobile, let us know. I mean, everything, as far as we know, works.
Yeah, the only thing that's limited is there's some things that aren't available in the offline client that are available only online, but mobile's all running on the same website, so it should all work.
Okay. Yeah, we'll come out, see us afterwards. We can look at what's going on there. Any other questions?
So could you go back to the event roles really quick?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so in event roles, and I know in our log database we have, so like we'll log the lodge officers there. There's no way of linking that, say, in the user when we have their position selected as a lodge officer, of linking those, like when we add them to an event, we'd have to manually go in and select, let's say, at this induction weekend that they are a lodge officer.
Yes, you'd have to manually add that. And there are I guess I didn't cover those, but the ceremony ones are the same. Same thing. There's one flag I'll point out before we leave this. There we go. This read only. So if you see this, these are system defaults. I think we'll look at renaming that read only to system default or something like that. But somebody asked yesterday, so I went to find that out. That's why those are in there. We added them, and you can't get rid of them. So we'll move to members at this point. So this is our new member grid. Same data as in version 3, but looks a lot different and works on mobile. If you're on mobile, it collapses the grid down. We have the three dots, and you can drop the grid down. It shows underneath the member. So this grid works fully on mobile. It works pretty well, actually. Everything you can do, depending on your screen size, this is going to be, could be really small. You could not be seeing very many records, or when you expand that, it could fill your screen. Keep that in mind, but it does work on mobile, depending on your screen size. The tablet, it works well too. So we'll go back. I'll do my best to hit. There were some questions about things in the member grid. I'll try to remember to do those. If I don't, just let me know, and we can demo something else. So in here, we have the column choosers in version 3. We have a lot more, most data types, anything in LodgeMaster you can now put in the member grid, so events and trainings and resources and awards, that all is in the member grid now. You can even do full event reporting in the grid, in the member grid, without even leaving, which allows you, we'll show that, we'll create some complex filters to send some email. But I want to just demo some of the things the grid can do. So if we add, let's see, we'll add one thing you couldn't do in the old system is parent email address. So in the old system, if you had a parent's email address, there was no way to report on it. You couldn't email it, or you couldn't report on it to export it. It was there. It wasn't really useful. You can add parent email address, and you can add parent's phone or whatever custom types you add. I know we added one the other day for council account email address. So now you could export that data from LodgeMaster. We collected it all before. We didn't do anything with it. Now we do. Yes?
How did you go
Oh, so along the top, the middle button. That's how we get to that. And then we will be enabling, I heard they added this to our controller yesterday, a search functionality for the column chooser, so you can search instead of scrolling through. So you start typing the first letters, and it'll filter it down. That wasn't available when we implemented this control, but it is now. So we will have that, because scrolling can get tedious. Yes.
I noticed, that you've done this where we can export it and all that.
Mm-hmm.
How about importing like parent emails?
You can import. So when you're on the import, I'll come back to that if that's all right. I'll show you. We can do an import, and we'll import some parent emails. You can move these around and resize them. You can filter in the grid. So if you're pulling in, this is actually will cover somebody's question. I want to view everyone from the last, I don't know, few years. I apply. So under advanced filtering,
I think that's who asked that question.
Yes. If under advanced filtering, there's years or include years. If you click in there, there's the select all button. And you can select years individually, or you can select all and then
that's the exact same way the fields used to work on the left side in version 3. We just had to move it off the left because, frankly, there was just too much going on that left menu, especially when we started offering mobile mode and stuff like that.
And the exclude is the same. You can exclude. This query wouldn't work because you'd exclude everything. But what do you get in there? Well,
yeah.
we don't have an error there because we're not, at this point, it hasn't actually queried the database. If I run this, it's not going to, there's nothing there because I excluded everything that everybody paid. But you could then go in and, if I just wanted to exclude these people that paid this year and next, so they paid ahead, I hit apply. It brings back 4,000 members, and I actually only want those that are in unit, I don't know, they're in crew 96, and there's only one. And I could send an email to this one person through LodgeMaster, so you don't have to use your personal email, or if your lodge doesn't have email, you can now send to one person. You could filter this down. If I wanted to send, I don't know, to anyone with a zip. You could add zip code, and you could filter it down by zip code even if you wanted to send everybody in a region. Yes.
So if we have the parent's email and pull it into column manager, it will send it to both the person we're trying to contact and the parent, or is it?
We'll show you when we show email, but you choose which ones to send it to. You don't even have to add it to the grid to do the email part. Right. That's just if you want to print or export or see it on the screen.
A lot of lodges, if they have like a parent email or a parent phone number, they use that in like a text messaging system or create some kind of report. That's why we add it to the grid. To email the parent, we'll show you that though.
One other thing, because I used to have to enter everybody in when they come, and occasionally we get a family, dad and his two sons. I'm retyping everything. Is that because the address and the phone number and everything was the same?
Can we add that to the?
I'm typing it 3 times for the exact same information,
Yeah, can you submit that as a suggestion? I think through the support button.
Can you just write that down? Yes. We will look at adding that. Youth run.
Yes, boss.
That is a good idea. There are those. We could look at adding a clone or copy. I'm not sure how that would work. I mean, okay.
All right.
We'll look at adding that.
I got it written down for the boss, and He can program it later.
Yeah. Rob, you want to help write that? Maybe it won't get implemented. Other questions?
Can you sort on unit for a second?
Mm-hmm. Let me go the other way. So there's unit data.
Right, not yet. So I know that it is possible to, if you use column chooser, you bring up unit type and unit number.
We do have an improvement in there already to work on the sorting just of that column. Yes. We're gonna have to manually program that behind the scenes, but we will work on a better way to sort that column.
Yeah. There's questions.
I know exactly what you're gonna ask.
Yes.
We can create our own filters, but with the names, if you scroll up to the left, it's always last name, first name, and if you want to merge that out or export that, you're always having to go back in and add like the column so that it's separated. Is there a default way to take all of your built-in views and change the name? So that
Not in built-in views. We can add a custom. So if I add,
so you have to go through and do them all over again.
yes.
If you want to do, yeah.
Yes.
When you added the 2 columns,
Mm-hmm.
can you filter on them? Because if you don't have the filter icon on either one of these two.
On which columns? On.
You added the parent email.
So the only columns you can't filter on in the grid, just based on how we had to build the technology behind the scenes, are the custom contact types and the position list, which is a like comma separated list. Those are the only you can export and do other stuff with it. You just can't filter on those because of how we add custom stuff. There's no way to build in the filtering in our tools.
Yep.
When you filter members and you email them, it doesn't actually acknowledge that you filtered them, so you can't see who you're going to send the email to until you actually send the email. So for example, if you filter by only one troop and send the email to those members, it doesn't tell you that you're going to send the email to them in the email stream.
Actually, it does.
We'll-
You have
we'll-
to go under on the email screen, there is a member.
Can we maybe add that to the create screen? Is that possible?
What? The showing how many
To show me
people?
how many it's going to go to. Well, it does.
Go to send email.
How many would you?
It does.
No, we don't show it on that
No, we don't
screen. We
send
do
it
it when
off
you
to the
edit the
there.
screens. Yeah, we could.
I mean, can we just pull that count in from?
Yeah, I think that should be doable. So.
Okay. We can look at adding that. We do. Let me show you. When we get to email, remind me to show you where that count comes into play. I can't. I have to switch databases, and I don't want to do that right now. But we'll come back to it.
Okay.
Yes.
Can you effectively do a 2-column sort? Like, I guess the question is, if you get a certain order from one column and you do the next column, will remember the relative order of the ones that are say at the same value?
Yes, you want to
Yeah.
hold.
So, for example, if you
What's
did,
a unit that has a lot of people?
First,
60
you did
troop
chapter,
68.
You get chapters and unit sequence. If you did that.
Yes.
Yes, you hold Alt or Shift while you click it.
I want 68 though. That's what
Yes,
Yeah,
you can do
there's a
group by. But
I'm not.
Yeah, not there. I meant in
yeah, no.
in the overall list.
Right.
Like 68, and then you're like sort by.
No, so unfilter that. What he means is. Yeah, so sort by the chapter column.
No, do the lower one first. Unit number first.
So sort by
Okay,
unit
and
number?
then I'll hold Shift,
Just sort
I
those.
think, and click.
Yeah.
So now it's sorted by both. It's sorted by chapter and then unit.
I misunderstood what you mean, but yes, you can.
Yeah, if you hold
Shift.
Shift and when you click on the next column, it'll keep the one before. Tips and tricks of the day.
Yes.
I don't know where we would add the. It's hard to describe that without showing you.
We're less than halfway through, and you're being very valuable already.
Thank you.
All right. Yes.
Doing an export of data
Uh huh.
to do our annual membership renewal mailing.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a way to take the name, address, and zip code and also add the postal marker in them?
Yeah.
It is a decode, it's a specific font that makes it a barcode.
Oh no, that's a request already. I don't know how hard that would be to implement. It's on the list. I can't. Mike or Rob, do
No clue.
adding the postal barcode.
I don't know.
I think you'd add that in what you were merging to, or do you mean in the labels that we already have in the program?
Yeah, I don't know if like the USPS is like.
We could look. I mean,
yeah.
Actually, I think that's already on the request list.
It's on the request list. I don't
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. Okay.
We can. Yeah. We could look at.
Yeah, it's definitely on the request list to add
We can-
barcodes.
So there's a way. So in the near future, they'll vote on those. So you could vote on that and bump it up.
You're
and we
giving
can
away
look at
all
it.
of our future stuff.
They get to it early.
So just like in the last class, we'll explain it earlier than the slide at the end of the presentation, but Chad's found some good software, and what we're going to do is take all of the existing feature requests and move them over to a software. If anybody's ever used something called User Voice before for other software, it's a way that you can submit feature requests and other people can vote on them. So we're going to move to, it's not called User Voice, but we're moving to a very similar piece of software. If you have bugs and support requests, those will still go to the same place that you did before. But feature requests are going to go onto this new public site where everybody else can see them all. You can talk about them, add additional ideas to them, and vote on them. And we're going to pay attention to the votes, and that's going to be sort of what drives the software going forward. So
something like that, though. I mean, it'll go in there, but we'll look at adding it. Make note of it and look at it. Yes.
It doesn't save. So when I go in and I set the exact columns that I want them in, every time I reopen it, it reorders them.
Let's look at it. Mm-hmm.
Excel to do other stuff, and I have to go back in and consistently do like the same 2 or 3.
So like you save the view, and then when you leave the view, you're saying it doesn't save them?
Yeah, so I exit all the way out,
Whoops.
come back in, and it's reordered all the columns.
Oh, it doesn't save the order of the. Oh.
It did that one though.
First name, last name, chapter.
Mm-hmm.
It'll take, I don't know,
It
first
did.
name and move it to the right last name.
Oh, let's.
So every time I reopen it, I have to reorganize all the columns.
So they're like in order there. If we leave the program,
I mean, I can show you on mine, but I don't know.
I would say they're saving here. So we
change the address and just clear it out up top. Get rid of the demo test.
Yeah, get rid of the demo test.
In the URL, or switch to some other view, and then go back.
Yeah, I sent a ticket in on that a while ago. Yeah.
Hit refresh again,
Yeah.
Chad. Because you just changed the after the hash.
So now go to the demo one.
That's what
We thought this was working.
Yeah, it's working. That's what I.
Okay.
I'd
Well,
like to
if you
refresh
still have a
it.
problem, we can take a look
Yeah.
after the class.
Yeah.
And okay, we can definitely take a
What
look.
browser are you using? What browser?
Okay, we can take a
We'll
look
look
after
at
the
it.
class, or
Yeah,
if you
but
sent the support request, we can take a look specifically in your database.
Yeah. All right. Yes. Okay.
First one, speaking of custom views, so I create a custom view that displays the data like I want to see it when I first go in. Can I then, how do I set that as my default?
You can't yet. I know we talked about yesterday. We're going to maybe add some user customization things for grids. That may be an option we could add to that. To select your default view when you log in. I'm not sure what that module or what those settings will look like, but that's probably something we can add to that.
Yeah, because one of the things that we used to do is, you guys fixed one of my main, which was adding the unit number up there. For the default. So thank you, by the way.
You're welcome.
It drives me crazy, and I have to customize it to figure out, and I was lost in my second
Mm-hmm.
question.
We can come back. There were some hands over here.
So, maybe that would address it, could you move custom views to the top list instead of bottom so you don't have to scroll to them?
Submit that as a request, and we'll consider it, looking at it. You can collapse this, so you could close that. So you want to look at your custom views. As far as moving this up above the built-in, we'd have to talk about it.
How are you managing the email spam? So the emails are getting spam filters. Is that being taken care of somehow?
Yes.
Yes, we are using a company called SendGrid, and they handle all of that for us. They're a large email processor.
And we are now, and you've probably seen these if you're an email admin. or I forget who actually gets the email. I forget it's just the administrators or not.
Email admin.
Is it the email? So you get a nightly digest of any bounces and spam reports and stuff, and we're automatically marking those people as either a bad email address or no contact if it's a spam request. We have to do that now to maintain our reputation, essentially is what it's called. If we don't do that, we will everything will just go into a spam folder at the end of the day. So that is all being done automatically, and so you're getting those digest reports every night if you have any records.
Yep, we can just keep answering questions. So.
You said when it'll mark, like if it comes back bad, it'll
Yeah.
mark it.
Mm-hmm.
Is there any trigger for like the chapter advisor that goes in there to know which records need
So
yes.
Yeah. So
we're on,
yeah. Sorry. Go ahead.
I was going to show the red thing.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Okay. Yes, when you're on emails, if the system got a bounce back because it was bad, it'll automatically check that, but it'll be red. And in the grid, who was this?
If you don't go into it.
Yeah.
Well, there's a column for it, right?
There's a column for it, but also we are going to be adding. We're storing the data now. We haven't had the time to create the user interface side of it. You will be able to see a summary in each email of what email addresses bounced, what email addresses were marked as spam, what user that or what member that was. All of that type of information will be available as a summary in the email window.
And you can add it to the grid, and you could filter then. Yes, and I think there's so many. We have a lot.
Yeah, we're actually storing the data now. The data exists, and it is on our shorter timeline to enable that grid. So.
Yeah, it shouldn't take very long to develop. So
yeah,
we'll show where that's going to go.
Yeah,
we can point out when we get there. Rob will point out where it's going to go and look like. Yes.
So when I'm printing a label when we're doing bulk mailing, we have to put in return service requested, but I couldn't put it in to have it print on the label.
Oh.
And so, if I needed to add something above the name or whatever, so the Postal Service would allow me to do that, it doesn't. It looked like there was a field that I could type something, but I could never get it to actually work, and so.
We'd have to add a line one.
Yeah.
Yeah, at least.
Oh,
in our
that's
in
okay.
For our council to send it out, it has to have return service requested.
We could look at adding that as like a.
Or I mean, it doesn't have to. I don't care if it's in bulk, but if we can add something.
Yeah.
Just like a freeform text field above.
Yeah, we could add it to the line one text options.
Yeah, we can add it to our list to look at.
Yeah.
That would be pretty simple to add, I think.
Yeah.
And if that's being required, we should look at adding that. Okay, yes.
Used up all of
We don't have Lodge customizable fields yet. What type of data are you trying to collect? Oh, so like text or email or Are there any plans, I guess, for Lodge customizable fields? I mean,
on
just in the member record or Lodge setup? Have we?
You can go to right click on one of the records, edit.
In
other.
No, so
I'm sorry, wrong space.
The question. So you can add custom
add
trainings and awards and that type of
yes.
stuff, but to add other data fields, that is something we can look at. That is actually already on the request list.
Sorry, I misunderstood.
If you want to add a field for rank or
like preferred contact method, that might be actually something we could.
Yeah, that could be added as a built-in thing. But if you wanted to track some very specific Lodge thing, we can certainly look at that.
Yeah.
There we go.
All right.
Yes. Yep. I'll do that next. Yes.
In this membership, when you pull up the individual, is there any way to move food allergies, medical conditions, etc., up in a much more primary area so you can see it instantly? When you have a kid come to an event, you didn't realize he was needed gluten-free, and you have no gluten-free meals.
It's in a primary area within events.
Yeah.
So if
Yeah.
you,
So when
we'll
we
that
show the
later.
check-in screen.
Yeah, when you showed the check-in screen and all of that, it's in a primary area there. And all that data is saved on his member records. And it's not just an event-specific thing.
Right. Other questions? Yes.
And this may go to what you were talking about just a few minutes ago. If the lodge advisor are having changes, the standard message that comes at the end, they're still having the old advisor, the old email, coming from Is there?
Yeah.
So you're talking about the two contacts at the bottom of emails? Those are based on the lodge administrator that's set up on that form that's sent to the national office. So you just need to, it's on the documentation site. You just need to, submit this new form again, and Stephanie at the national office will process this, and it'll get updated in the system. Yeah.
You thought of changing that so that like instead of a name there is a lodge email?
Like a lodge support email. So yes, so there was actually we started
collecting
that.
them. Yeah, we
did send out a thing to all lodges asking them to send us support emails. We only got, I don't know, maybe half of all lodges, not even half, I don't think. So if your lodge is missing that, I forget what it looks like, what it says in the bottom. Rob, can you remind me?
No, so on the invitation emails, there is a support email address if it does exist for your lodge.
That goes in regular bulk mail. It goes out.
I don't believe so. Not in the bulk.
No, not in regular bulk.
But in the
invite,
anything that is like
yes.
action specific, like an invitation and stuff like that, we are putting the support email address in there so that
If yours doesn't have one, email us and we'll add it.
Yeah, and once we have all those support emails, we can look at changing the administrator stuff over to that.
Did that answer your question?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Yes.
Is there eventually going to be a plan to actually sync LodgeMaster up with other BSA?
Again, there went our PowerPoint slide. Yeah, we can talk about it now. Yes. So as with NORS, there's going to be a button.
The National OA Event Registration System. Because nobody knows the acronym except us.
You said NORS. Yeah.
The National OA Registration System. We did it for NOAC. We are going to integrate with the BSA set of APIs that they have. The National Registration System was the first iteration of that. It worked very well. Mike got all that working for us. He's now going to put that in LodgeMaster for us. So there'll be a button up here instead of audit. I don't know where the button will be, but if it's here, it's going to say verify. It's going to go out to ScoutNet, verify that they are registered, and verify YPT. Add maybe a check mark in LodgeMaster next to their BSA ID, or turn it green or something. Whatever we do. As far as pulling contact data and stuff over, I think eventually that's the plan.
Yeah.
The timeline of that, I mean, we're going to do audit, the actual audit first. Thinking of other data that'll come later. But
No more audit files.
Yeah,
so this is going away.
So if anybody's ever exported that god-awful audit file and imported it into that god-awful interface in ScoutNet, and then exported it and re-imported that god-awful 3 output files from ScoutNet into LodgeMaster, we're replacing all that with a button that'll say verify, and you click on it, and that's the end.
And
oh, go ahead, Rob.
So, and this is why, going to the question that was asked earlier about BSA IDs, Chad, if you could go into one of the members.
I can.
So what we've done, we've, and this is actually sort of a bad example, but we've made the BSA ID very prominent in here. And our intention is that eventually, and I'm not saying this is in the short term, I'm saying this is like several years out, the OALM ID will almost disappear because you will be using that BSA ID for everything, because that's how we will integrate and verify that person is YPT compliant, is a member, possibly pulling in or even pushing contact information between the two systems. So we're working with the BSA. In fact, we had dinner last night with the CIO of the BSA as we build out these systems so that the two of them will talk and we'll have a very tight integration with them.
The BSA they're going in the right direction with the APIs, and they've been very responsive to work with, and really
Yeah.
good. Mike has worked with them. I haven't a lot, but
Manually put in their YPT.
Yeah, so just to explain how the concept of the process is for either on a member record, Charlie, somewhere on this screen, or in the whole list, you'll be able to run a verification against ScoutNet. It uses just the BSA ID to go up to the ScoutNet servers, does some checks, returns some data, and what we're going to do at that point is similar to how the old audit worked. If the last name, gender, and date of birth match, we're going to say that's a good match, and automatically populate the YPT date and automatically update that their registration status, their membership audit status is verified or registered. If the BSA ID matches and we get a result, but the last name or the date of birth or the gender don't match, we're going to build some sort of interface where you see the information for those 3 fields that's in LodgeMaster and the 3 fields that return from ScoutNet, and you can manually go, yep, this is the same guy, and click, accept the BSA information, or change the LodgeMaster side. We obviously can't change the ScoutNet side, and accept that verification for that person at that point. So easy matches we'll do automatically, and if there's a mismatch, we'll let you try and do that. But what we want to do is make sure that we're not just using the BSA ID, because obviously somebody could have typed the number in wrong, or it could be the son or something like that. And we don't want to say that he's verified and done all that stuff if it's not really the same person. But instead of it being on the ScoutNet side where you do that matching now, where it's just a hard no if one of those fields don't match, we have the ability to do that matching stuff. So
end of the year.
Definitely end of the year, but we're really hoping in the next 2 months. So the BSA people just turned that on just in time so we could do it for registration for NOAC. So at one point you logged into the registration system and there was a green check mark next to your BSA ID and your YPT date was automatically pulled in. We ran a batch one night once they were ready to go, verified everybody's information. People who didn't have verification, contingent and staff services was reaching out to get things cleaned up. But that process happened automatically, and that's what we're going to be using in LodgeMaster now. And those guys are very receptive. And before we take questions, the final plug on this, there was one workshop yesterday afternoon called the BSA's Technology Strategy. And there's another workshop this afternoon called the BSA APIs. Even though they'll be talking about the API stuff in the class, they're going to talk in general about technology that the Boy Scouts is using and integrations and stuff like that. It's being taught by the CIO of the Boy Scouts of America and the lead technical developer now at the national office. So they're very nice people. They're actually working towards making things better. And I encourage you to go to the workshops. It's in Jordan Hall from 1:30 to 3:30. And they'll happily take any question you have about any technology in the Boy Scouts, where they're moving with things, what they have going on, and they're very good guys to talk to and stuff. So if you're interested in learning more about technology stuff in the Boy Scouts, even step in for part of that class, because it's definitely worth your time to meet those guys.
Yes.
Is there a way we actually have people that know what they're doing with the database down our lines, so we're cleaning up several years worth of bad info? Is there a way to batch move people to inactive?
Not yet. We are working on a feature, and the initial release of this feature is going to be with relation to election years. So basically, our plan is initially to say, I want to archive, archive all of the people who were elected this year, but then weren't inducted. So the remaining candidates essentially.
But I think that'll roll out maybe for bulk use.
But we're going to start with that, and then we're going to work our way through the rest of it as well to make sure that process works well. Given the fact that you have the potential of updating hundreds of records, we want to make sure that bulk process is done right, because again, it's one of those undoable things almost.
Enter the admonition 10 times.
Yeah. So.
Other questions? Yes, in the back. We will go. I can run through an import and point out what we can import. Yes, over here.
Membership cards.
Mm-hmm.
You guys have a way, or can we get a way where cards where somebody pays this year's and next year's dues, rather than just printing this year's card and then having one printing next year's card? Can
have a membership dues paid through and then the highest year?
Actually, the easiest way to do that is to select dues years
Yeah.
and put it for the highest year that they paid dues for, and then print their card.
So I mean, the BSA says you can't, paying your dues ahead is kind of a gray area, I would call it, because so if they pay their dues ahead and then they don't register as a BSA member, they can't be
Correct.
airmen. And so even allowing in to pay ahead in LodgeMaster is kind of there's a reason we limit it to 5 years. So printing membership cards ahead, I mean, we probably won't add any functionality for that just because of the gray area with the BSA on that. I mean, it's... So you can do that here. So I changed this to 2017 in membership cards. And put 2017. Over here, I don't know if you can, right there. There's another place you can, instead of using the advanced filtering, if you just want to look at a year, you can change it here. It's like 15. It's going to include 18 though, because it shows max dues. If you didn't want to include 18, you'd have to go to advanced, exclude 18, apply that. I'd have to exclude multiple years, but if you just wanted to print previous years though?
Yeah, if you're just trying to print the 2015
Right. Oh,
people,
yes.
you can't.
Yeah, I would need.
For one person, that's all.
Not one person's gonna get.
That's gonna get hairy because you can't, you're gonna tear the card off that corner, you can't use.
There is that as well.
Well, there's that too.
There's that, and getting this. I mean, you could filter the grid down to one name, but for printing for one person, I would run them in batches.
Is there a way that, you have 31 at a deduction, you print it out, so you put it in 4 pages, now I've lost 9 cards.
There really isn't a way to.
Say,
What you do
start
is you
at
save-
card number 2.
What you do is you save that sheet, and then you save another sheet that's got one, and you kind of take it.
I've done it, I was just hoping there'd be an easy way to say, start at card 2 and print it.
No, and I'm not sure they would run through printers very, oh. Oh.
You brought it right after, it'd be nice
Oh.
to just
Um,
say, okay, the next 9 are.
I don't.
Yeah, I don't know how we would do that. I don't know how we would.
Let's buy a bunch of those. I don't.
Yeah, we'd have to look at whether we could.
I mean, you could.
Yeah.
You could. Yeah. There's.
I know there is an open ticket about that. We'd have to figure out how to skip X number of cards.
If you
or
want to
something.
submit it, we can.
Yeah.
Ponder it. Okay. Flag it. All right. We'll go to the back and come forward. Can you?
It's not the vertical.
Hold on. All right. What's your question?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh no, you didn't mean to email to an individual person?
Oh.
This week I have 10 people pay their dues.
Okay.
And I go in and say, print membership cards electronically, and then email them individually out.
No, there is not an option.
That again covers. We'll cover. You won't be able to email them. There is a online card coming next year. Yes, in the blue.
That's a great idea. If you could, even if when you enter the dues and you hit submit, you just sent a notification to submit.
Maybe when we get to maybe the portal, that would.
Yeah, we'll talk about that a little later in the class when we talk about some future stuff.
Moving forward, and you're right. Yes.
I was wondering about the new card because it's a different form, the selection.
So I think Mike said a week or two after
2
NOAC?
weeks.
2 weeks after NOAC.
2 weeks after NOAC.
We will be enabling the 2018 card version in LodgeMaster. You can print the 2013 design on the 2018 card.
Yeah, it does look
2
okay.
weeks after NOAC, I've been
Yes.
told, we are adding the new design. So
Yeah,
you'll be able to print front and back.
Yeah, so just to discuss, and 2 weeks after NOAC, because next week is nap time, and the week after that we'll work on membership cards. We have the new format for the membership cards, and luckily we were able to be part of the design process for the membership cards this time. So number one, we took off the slanted lines and crooked stuff on the cards because that's really hard to print around all that stuff. But what we did is we left a part of the back of the card that has a really faded OA logo on it. And you're going to be able to print up to 3 lines of text on the back of the card, whether it's their chapter, their unit, their whatever, or a random line of text like you want to put the Lodge website and the chapter chief's contact information on the back of cards.
Is that what it's called?
You'll be able to do. No, not the pocket.
There
they are.
Those are the old ones.
No, those are the new ones.
Those are the new ones. Never
Those are
mind.
the new ones.
Sorry, I'm
So
thinking
if you there's the back, and you can see there's a really faded logo up at the top. You'll be able to print over that.
I can't zoom. Oh. There we go.
Okay. So you'll be able to print on
all
the
I
top
got.
in that faded logo area up to 3 lines of whatever you want, and that'll allow basically close about 10 or 15 tickets that have been open for a long time for membership cards, asking people to print various random things like their BSA ID or OALM ID or
If you need to order these, there's the number you want.
or election dates or random lines of text. We're going to allow all that so you can customize the back of the card with additional information. So you just have to flip them over and run them through your printer one more time with the back report, and you'll be able to do all that and be able to have any information you want really on the back of the cards. We started out with like 10 or 15 fields plus random text or entered text. So.
Apparently they're allowing anybody to buy them now. I don't. Talk to your council. I don't.
It says restricted in those words.
Yeah, I don't.
The restricted item up there.
Yeah, try and click add.
I don't know why I have the ad.
Well, it should,
Apparently you're special.
Apparently I'm special, but it is going to.
this should be
Okay.
interesting.
Anyway, there's the number to buy them.
So on the backside, you're going to provide a template that we can use to print on?
Yes, so I'll show you that right now. So in the membership cards, we already have the fields there. You can see them.
Yeah, we just haven't done the design on the back.
You can include a barcode, I believe, even.
Oh, they're disabled right now.
They're
But yes,
disabled.
you'll be able to include
Right.
everything from text to fields in the database to barcodes to all of that. We've worked hard to complete a lot of open tickets.
There's the barcode.
Yes. Oh, whether you want to turn on the barcode.
Right there.
Or the
Yeah,
BSA
or
ID.
the BSA
Or
ID.
BSA.
Oh yeah, both fields are in there, so you can do whatever you want.
Okay. Questions on?
Any chances on the font for the secretary's name?
We are adding a image upload for the signature.
It should be. It's a script font right now.
Yes.
Yeah. So we can't really improve fonts. Getting fonts to work in all PDFs and stuff like that is very hard.
It kind of gets bloggy because it's
So what our goal is we're going to allow you to upload an image of an actual secretary's signature or treasurer, I think treasurer.
We'll take a handful.
Secretary.
We'll take a handful more questions, and we're going to move on.
Yeah.
And I'm going to show you some more stuff in the grid, and that'll probably bring up more questions. So
Yeah.
we'll go the hands that were up. So yep.
Yeah, go ahead, Matt. Do you have anything with integrating with Black Pug?
So I believe they have an export to import to us already. Dave, is that what you guys use, or?
yeah, they have NOAC data upload, you can upload your database.
But if they don't have one of the 2 unique keys, you're not getting anywhere.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah. It's nothing that we can do on our end.
That's
It's
true with all import. I mean, anything you have to have the key. So
Okay. Because we don't even tell people their OLM IDs because it's just,
I would start BSA IDs.
Yeah. Let's take the last 2 questions and go ahead.
Somebody had
Did somebody have a question? Yeah.
Yeah.
So all of the fields where you add a person to an event, or even the search at the top, you can search by ID number, and a barcode scanner will automatically enter a number and hit enter. So those fields will work. Yep. Yeah, it's just a fancy keyboard. So.
You can use any scanner.
And then if you hit enter, it's just going to open up that record. Yeah. So you can use a barcode scanner for that, or at check-in when you're adding people. And probably the one thing that we can add to the event area is a field where you're just live scanning check-ins or something like that, and we can work on that. Instead of clicking the check-in button, there's some sort of scanning field.
Question over on the side. Can you say that again? I couldn't hear you.
Is there going to be a eventual feature where somebody else can automate, I can email these cards out to people and they can turn them on?
Yes, we'll talk about that later. One more. Yes.
When I go to print out my cards, it's not matching up and it's running down. Is that a problem anybody else has?
So when you do the membership cards and you print them, right, do the save as PDF and open it not in this, but how do I in Chrome? I want to
Download button, top right.
Firefox. Use Firefox. This browser.
Well, Dave likes that. He works for them.
I don't like Chrome, but I'm using it. Gosh, again, no.
Oh, that's because your computer's defaulted to it.
So
this, hold on. Open it in this Adobe Reader.
Yeah, so the
whatever.
problem is the browsers are automatically changing the margins because the browser thinks the browser is smarter than you are, which it's not. And you want to go in and actually open it in a PDF reader outside the browser. Some browsers work, some don't. Depends on how your plugins are configured. But if you open it in like an Acrobat reader, and when you go to print, and make sure it says actual size under paper sizing and handling, and that will make sure it's all lined up. So don't let it change it to scale or shrinking or fit or any of that stuff. Make sure it's set to actual size. It'll probably complain about the margins being off the page, but it doesn't matter. That's what will make it print correctly on the page. It has to do with Silverlight was an actual plugin, and it allowed you to do the scaling stuff. Web browsers are a whole nother breed for printing things. So we can't do anything about the printing and the margins. That's why the solution, especially for membership cards, is to do save the file.
And other web apps are that way. I mean,
yeah.
It's just it's a problem with web apps and web browsers.
Yeah.
All right. Getting out of this. Yeah, it's fine. Now the new functionality in the grid. We're there. I want to get a clean data set. What am I? Roster. All right. So the new functionality in the grid is pulling event data in. Now this is the one I'm going to show. We can do others, but we're going to demo event data, and we'll show you where I believe we're going to work off. We'll go this. Do you remember what event, Mike? Do you remember what event we used yesterday for the not registered?
One of your deal induction. Yeah.
Well, you.
Not registered. Yeah, you can use the Juno system.
Oh, because it's your data, but yeah. All right, so you select your. I had to make sure I wanted to use the one that would actually work for our filters. This is a demo database, so the data is. It can be a little tricky to get what we want, but this one will work. So you select your event, or Juno deal, and you hit apply, and it doesn't do anything yet. But go to a column chooser, and now we can pull in the event field. So I'm going to pull in the event name because I forgot what I selected. We're going to add the search, and then I'm going to add event registered, and then I'm going to add maybe event role. That came up yesterday. Somebody wanted to know about roles. And we'll add, I don't know, we'll go registered because we're going to do something with that. All right, so then in the grid, we add all those event fields. Now what we can do is we can sort on event registered. So I pulled all this event data into the membership grid. So now I'm going to filter on event registered. This is going to filter the grid down to only those, or excuse me, I'm going to go to not registered for this. So this is everyone that's not registered for our 2018 June ordeal. So now I could send an email to anyone that hasn't registered for the June ordeal. And in the old system, that wasn't possible. But now we're pulling event data in. So I can email, hey, you haven't registered for this event, sign up. In the old system, you just had to email everyone in the lodge, regardless if they're registered. Now you don't have to bother those people that have already registered for the event.
So you started with the event not registered before, is what you were testing?
Yes, so this is an event not registered, which is all driven from these columns. So I filtered registered to no. If I switch it back, it's going to show everyone that's registered for the event. So you can do other things with this. So if I want to show everyone that was registered for the event, and I want to know those who registered, because I don't want to select a lot, we'll do everyone that registered before May, because they get some special patch, because everybody likes patches. There's my list of everybody that registered before May. I can send an email right from the grid. I can export this, not leaving the member manager. You're writing members. You're pulling event data in. You can get creative with what you want to do here. I mean, we could do everyone that registered before that is a Gold Pass member because they get a extra special patch. There's our list of Gold Pass members who registered before the 30th that are going to the event. You can use that.
You do the same thing using your candidate subset as well?
So I don't know if there's any candidates in this, but there should be. Let's clear out this. And then we clear out that. Event role, there should be candidates. Yes, right there. There you go. So now you can email all your candidates are coming. Hey, don't forget. Remind them. This all, of course, is driven on you pre-loading people in the event. If you don't add them till they check in, this is all. It's not going to work, obviously.
You want to explain the email thing?
Participation and awards based on events.
Mm-hmm.
Can you put more than one event column in so that at the end of the year, when we're trying to propagate who participated in more than one event?
No, I don't, and I don't think that's on. That's not. No, you can't now. I don't know that that's something we're going to. There'd be if we're pulling in multiple events. It would be. I mean, we'd have to add columns and.
Yeah, there's no way to pull into the member grid more than one
Yeah.
event, and we don't want to duplicate rows because that would make everything very confusing. So that's why you can pull in one training, one award, or one event.
You could run this though for multiple events. You could then change this. I don't know if this one's going to work, but yeah, that you'd have to export that. That didn't work. I'll go back to the event. It should work. That event though, being a test database, what's in there, I don't know.
You're filtered on Ordeal, and you probably don't have anybody.
Yeah, there's lots of filters, and there's a lot of variables in there why that didn't work. But you could change it and export it and do that. What did you want me to show, Rob?
The email, like the custom email types, are in here, but not in events.
Oh, yes. Do you want me to do that now, or when I go?
No, just explain it.
Okay. So if you are emailing for like this event, and this is true for all email, when you're emailing, send email. Here's where the contact types come in. We added parent in the settings. This is where you can email the different types, so like their council account or their lodge account, and it's going to email all of those. In events, though, when you're in the event, you can't do this. And so why we added the event data to the member grid is so you can email people going to events with multiple contact types, because you can't do that in the event manager. If I go to the event manager and I go to the same event to send email, I only get the built-in options, the default system defaults. So if you want to send, if you want to get crazy with who you're emailing and you want to email the participant's mother at her work address about her son's ordeal, you have to do that from the member grid. And that cleared out, but I'll add them back. Probably one of the popular ones where you event registered, yes and no. So you can look at that. Any questions on that or how that works? Okay, so when you're in the roster members, under advanced filtering, you select the event. So adding those event fields won't do anything until you add the event here. So then I select the event here, and then whatever event selected here, that's the data that's pulled through for the event fields. And this will work. We can do this also if we clear that out. Done it a few times. We can do the same with awards. So I pull in Distinguished Service Award. These are at the top, so this one's easy. Yep. Award date. So I want to filter on everyone that has the award. I want to see everyone in the lodge that has it. We get a lot more yesterday. I don't know why I'm only getting a few today, but
No, there are only 3.
Are there?
There are only 3
I
in
must
this
have did
lodge.
a different award yesterday.
There are only
there's
3 in
4
this
now.
lodge.
Well,
I'm not a member of this lodge anymore.
there's 3. Mikhail's not showing up though.
No, I believe the automatic name translator that we use to anonymize this database changed my name to Jeremiah Butt.
No, we changed you yesterday. I think.
No, that's my record. That is my
Who's Mikhail
OALM
then, I
ID.
wonder?
A random person.
Oh.
Oh.
So there's our project advice. Our project
Completely
advice.
random. We used the name generator.
I didn't pick the name, so the name generator.
The name generator did.
So yes.
It must have been Google.
It
But
judged
then
me.
you could invite them to your event. You know, you want to. There's some other awards in here. I don't know.
Do Founders Award. There's a lot more of those.
Okay, we'll look at Founders Award.
And you have to change the filter. You have to change the award name. Sorry, yeah. Which one is it?
Oh, that's
I believe there.
that should work.
Maybe there aren't any.
There's Founders
I don't
Award.
know.
That's
Anyway.
a bug.
I don't remember.
There's no clear button for the column. We need
Oh.
That's
we
it.
could-
Yeah, that's on the known issue list.
So this is
Yeah.
so if you have it filtered down and you change, we don't have a clear button.
That is something we need to add. That's
We'll-
the way Dev
we'll add
Express
that.
changed the way that worked, and we have to fix that.
Take it out and then we.
You go to a different view and you come back.
Yeah.
Yeah, or I-
yeah.
That held that, but well, it holds it if you take it back to the column chooser.
Huh. Yeah,
so you
that
have
is
to
a known
like
issue.
refresh. If I refresh, and
We
then-
will work on that.
It should work now. Beautiful. There we go. You guys just have to refresh. Now we can see all our Founders Awards, and we could invite all 25 of them to our winter dinner and give them a patch. We like patches. And then the same is true for training. I know a training one's like my lodge uses. National Leadership Seminar. Well, you could. Here, let's delete that. There we go. So now you could add, I think it's called training date. Training date. I want name just to show this name. And I don't know if this is going to work in this database, but I want LEC member. We'll see if this works. No guarantees here, but I want that are on the LEC. This probably won't work, but you'll get the idea of it. So this will show you everyone that's an LEC member that doesn't have a training because I set it to blank. So then you can see who's on your LEC that hasn't been to National Leadership Seminar.
Everyone.
Apparently no one on this LEC has been to National Leadership Seminar, so they should get on that. But let's...
Waiter bar wise.
We'll add a training, though, just so we can show this. Again, we did not pick these names. We'll put that there. Save that. We go back.
You have to rerun that.
I'm going to have to...
No.
No, I'm not.
No, there
I'm
it
just going to have
is.
to change
All
my
right.
filtering. Only one person on this LEC went, and his date, so you could then...
Oh. Perfect. Keep going.
Okay. So you could use this to report. I think you get the idea of how powerful this is now. I think it's really powerful, and you should too. So you can, in the old system, I don't know if it's hard to get that data out. And what's the last position? We'll show that one because we get questions on that. But I'm gonna have to. I want to.
Oh, I was hoping you were to stay on that record.
We'll demo that next.
Okay.
Hold on. We have another thing. What was I going to show? Oh, positions. I already forgot. So you can report on positions. We have a lodge chief in here, I
Or
hope.
chapter advisor brings up,
Okay.
or chapter chief type of thing.
Well, I was meant for like member. So we do. I'm going to add these, and we'll talk about the difference in them. We really need to add that search right away. I want to show positions because there's a little. It's kind of confusing. Positions. Here we go. We can get more than one? Yes, there we go. Ooh, okay. So there you can see our chapter chiefs. I don't know what the filter's kind of weird. A lot of chapter chiefs here. I got a lot of them.
We don't necessarily put dates on.
Yeah, so tying to
No.
a chapter chief record's pulling anybody who's been a chapter chief.
You could filter on LEC. There's a more. That's a better list. There you go.
So if that's the case, is there a way once they've been released that it drops them off of this, or because it's a previous position?
So tying in the position record's meant to be able to pull like anybody who's been a chapter chief, so you can do a report like that. The positions field is showing active current positions. So you can use the positions field and the LAC field
So
if you want to pull up people who are on your LAC and see their active positions.
Let's clean this up a little bit. Let's get rid of this. I also am selecting this.
Oh, that's, yeah.
There's that. Let's clean that up. We're gonna delete this out because we want all LEC members. Oops, apply that. Now I can see all my active positions. Right there. So you could run. There's your leadership roster. You could email to.
Yeah, and the thing in parentheses, so it's showing that there's a lodge ceremonies advisor and a chapter advisor for Powhatan on the 8th record there. So you can see what area they're the advisor and for.
There's end dates for this stuff, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For the position.
So you could add.
Position end date is what you want. Yeah, there's the position end date.
Yeah, so I could add this one. Lads.
This lodge doesn't like putting in end dates.
This lodge is terrible at putting information in. I don't know what's in. There's nothing in here for any of these, but if you had that, you could. Would that pull in? Do those dates work if you set the position so you could see start and end times for
a chapter? Yes.
Okay.
If you.
Let's demo. So let's look at a lodge chief. There should be lodge chiefs in here, right?
There should be.
We noticed that yesterday. It's already on the fixed list. Apparently, additional's been misspelled for like 4 months, and nobody's noticed it till yesterday's training class.
So apply. We'll come back. I need to. So I want to see all lodge chiefs for the history of the lodge.
Let's see if we can figure out which one's mine.
Yeah, we'll see if we. Mike, were you a lodge chief?
I was not.
No, Michael was not a lodge chief.
We'll see if we can find Rob, what he was renamed to.
Well, let's see here.
I want to clear that
Although
off.
I was lodge chief long before LodgeMaster existed, so who knows if it's.
So there we can see our history of our lodge chiefs. Again, if you don't put the end dates and start, it's not, the data is only so good. But you can see, there's our 2009. Looks like he's the training chair and the NOAC chair now. He's been busy. Let's
look. Chris Cheslock. It's accurate.
You know who that is?
Yes.
It's accurate?
Yes.
Oh, okay. So you can see there's their position. He's been doing this for a long time, apparently. And there's the NOAC. If we put in, an end date, this might as well. Save. Let's go back one day. There we go. We went back. The grid refreshes, and there it is. So that's how you add positions. One thing I do want to show is, Rob, could you queue up a change,
Yeah, I could do that.
please?
Yep. Okay.
If we watch the grid, I don't know which one he's doing.
The same one.
He's working on Vidden Woodman.
So if we
Reitman.
just watch this record for a few seconds here.
So,
Oh crap! I didn't type that in right.
A few more seconds.
Oh, hey, there we go.
Look at that. His dues are paid.
so what we wanted to show is that when you're working on
Oh,
records,
the name change.
the so the records are automatically updating between multiple computers. So the grid is we're bouncing messages back and forth between the server and saying this record ID number is updated. So any computer you're working on anywhere, if you magically note that somebody's name changed or dues appeared, that's somebody else on some other computer working on the records. It's useful in members, but it's not likely that two people are working on the same member record at once. But it's very useful in events. Instead of having to refresh as before, it's basically as soon as somebody on some other computer hits checked in, you'll see that on your screen, and you can keep working through it and seeing who's checked in and not checked in across all the computers that you're using for an event. Yes?
That leads me to the question that I had. So if we go to Scout Camps, we're working offline all the time. If we pull down, we want to export the database and work offline. And then he and I are sitting next to each other doing check-ins, I'm checking in candidates, checking in everybody else. We go to sync everything back up. We're on separate computers. How does that work?
We'll get to that hopefully today.
If we don't get to it, come on up afterwards and we can discuss that.
I will move. I don't have a lot. We'll install the. I don't have the offline client installed, but we'll install it and demo it. Maybe Rob.
Well, so just to explain how the offline client. Yeah, we don't need. I don't think we need to show it. It's just an installer. To explain how the offline client works, you basically want to download the information onto one computer, not multiples, and then you can enable over just a local network. So you can. So all you need to do is have a little Wi-Fi router that you plug into the wall. It doesn't have to connect. Well, let me explain. All you need is a Wi-Fi router where both computers can connect to it. It doesn't need to connect to the internet. You just need something where you can set up a network where the two computers can talk to each other. And between that, you can then use the LodgeMaster offline program on both of those computers using the same single database. That's what the offline program allows you to do. It allows you to have just one computer running, and especially in the new program, since it works in all browsers and tablets and phones, all you need is one Windows computer, use the offline program on that, make sure it's synced, and then you can have that one computer running and use your iPad, phone, laptop, Mac laptop, whatever you want to do check-in for people. They can all connect to that one computer via the IP address, pull it up and do registration, and it's all going into one database. All you need is that just some sort of Wi-Fi router, $30 Wi-Fi router, actually even probably like a $10 Wi-Fi router you buy.
If you don't need tablets and stuff, you could just get a dumb switch.
Right, you can get a
switch.
hardwired switch if you want to, too. Anything that's allowing you to set up a local network and is giving out IP addresses, it doesn't need to connect to the internet. It has nothing to do with that. You just need a way that the computers can talk to each other.
Or a crossover. You could do it.
Why isn't it that if I download it, he downloads it? Let's say I sync back up and upload my changes. If he syncs back up after me and uploads his changes, will that work also?
It will work as well. We don't suggest that because if you change the same record as he does, whoever checks in later is going to win, and that's going to overwrite what you changed. Does that make so only one person can win in syncing. I know, only one person.
Are there docs for the offline?
Yeah, so you both can sync. That will work perfectly fine. It will upload your changes to the server and his, and you'll both bring down each other's changes, and you'll end up with the same set of data. Well, you just need, if you sync twice, you'd both get all the records. It doesn't matter what order or anything like that. But we really would suggest that you just use one database at the event because then you're actually seeing the same data between the computers, and that way you're only making changes in one database, and that one database is syncing up to the server. when you start making multiple changes on different computers, that's where it can get a little hairy as to how syncing works and stuff. So, good.
I'd like to testify that with one, not a real fancy laptop, we were running 4 on a wireless hub, and it worked perfect.
Yeah, it works.
It worked really, really well.
Yeah, and the big
as you
advantage
said,
now.
Doesn't have to be a fancy laptop. I mean,
Yeah, just any Windows laptop. But and we have heard from lodges now that they're actually checking somebody's using their iPad and just checking people in on their iPad and stuff like
so
that.
We do. Might help answer questions. Rob checked. We do have documentation on the offline client. So we do. Somebody, Dave, I assume, has very nicely wrote out everything you need to do, including the firewall. If you have firewall issues, it's all in here. So I would, if you have questions about the offline client, no.
You need one Windows computer to be the host.
But you can connect your Mac to the Windows host.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not going to tell you to buy a new computer, but
We have done it with the host computer being Windows in a VMware.
Yeah, so you could run VMware or one of those Fusion or whatever to host it. You just need to host it in something Windows.
VirtualBox. VirtualBox is free, so you could run on Windows. You still have to buy a Windows key. I'm not telling you to go steal a Windows key because you'll get in trouble for that. But
it's good that you're saying that as we possibly live stream this on the internet.
I don't want to encourage somebody to do something illegal. Buy your Windows license for Windows 10. You don't need any server. Just you can even get Windows 10 Home, and it'll run on Windows 10 Home just fine.
Actually, if you can find it.
I'm sorry?
Yeah, are there plans to have it on the Mac?
No, the base software that we use is just never going to be something that's supported on Mac. To do that offline stuff,
I'd recommend getting a Windows.
Yeah, I mean, however you want to run it, you can run it in a VMware instance or one of the VirtualBox instance on the Mac. There's no plans to actually have the host computer be anything but a Windows PC. We're just use too much technology that's not available elsewhere.
So speaking of the offline, what about the finance and the inventory?
So right now, those are online only. When we do migrate,
we're
online only.
we're going to be migrating those
I
shortly.
can show how to get to them if you.
They
will be going to version 4. Though.
They are in Silverlight. We just didn't have time. We wanted to get it. We wanted to make sure that everybody had like the good feature set. The highly used feature set. But those are going to be going shortly.
Timeline for that in here,
Within a couple of months, if not sooner.
That's fine.
What about JTE?
That is coming next couple of months, or
Well, JTE will be live October 1st when the mailings go out to all the lodges. So as part of the redevelopment, that we haven't turned that on for 20. We haven't turned on JTE for 2018 yet, but it will be turned on October 1st when the mailing goes out to the lodges, and we've committed that 2019 will be live in January of next year, so you can use that through the full year. Since we're not redeveloping the software anymore, and it'll be up and running, it'll be available in January next year.
So that somebody mentioned finance. This is actually a good thing I could touch on. I didn't yesterday, but if you need to use finance or inventory, you have to use Internet Explorer yet because they still are on Silverlight. The important thing, though, reading this message, you use your Arrow ID to log in. So even though it looks like the old login page, you still have to select your console, which is old. You don't do that anymore. But you have to enter your Arrow ID information in here, and you have to have offline access. That's the other thing. So not only do they have to have inventory or finance access, they have to have the offline permission. That's where people get hung up. I think my account does. I think it does.
See if you're special enough.
I probably am not special enough.
But so
that's
you'd
how
log
you
in through that,
in.
and you'd see the same old modules. But we are migrating that over. It will be done in the next couple months.
Mm-hmm. So the import. Any other question on advanced? We will build one more advanced filter. I'm going to request Mike's assistance to call out what he wants this to be like yesterday.
I had one of my associate advisors create an event and forgot to not check or remove the check on lodge wide, and so now I've got an event with only 10 people showing up it's gonna affect my JTE. How can I get that out of there?
You can just hit edit on the
I'll-
event
when we,
record
when we
and
get to the
uncheck it.
events,
Well, I can't do it.
we'll look at that. We'll do
Yeah.
it live right here when we're done here.
Yeah.
Can you hold your question till we show one more thing? Okay. So I'm gonna clear these out. Mike, do you remember what we did yesterday for the advanced?
Yeah.
So let me clear these out, and we'll build one advanced using the advanced filter editor. I want to get a new.
On that advanced filter editor, you add a clear all filters button.
Hmm?
You add a clear all filters button.
Under advanced?
That would possibly.
Possibly, yes. Let's look at that.
So okay, I'm getting clean data. I'm get rid of this. Yeah, we can look at adding that. That would probably be nice. All right, so the advanced filter, we're gonna change this
I
to
like that.
or.
We're going to do that this week, or next week, because we're napping this week.
So this is the custom filter editor. This is more like SQL. If you can write SQL queries, this is more like that. It's a visual SQL query editor, I guess. I know we did something with unit yesterday.
So here's what we're going to do. Sorry, I'm writing, boss. One sec.
No problem. So this is easier in a real database. In our test one,
I'm good.
we have to kind of be selective in what we pull back, but this will be a good example.
All right, so what we're going to do is we want to look at two things, and we're just going to pull some random data in here. So why don't we first, let's go to last name.
There we go. Last name.
And we're going to say the last name contains but, so we can find my record. And that's it. Let's apply that. And, oh, maybe I'm not dues paid for this year.
You're probably not.
So let's add back. I know, that's terrible. Don't add. Just add 2017. I'm pretty sure the record will show that. I think we may have removed it yesterday or something like that.
Oh, I think I did too. Demo.
So hit apply. And there I am. Jeremy, spelled oddly. And so we found the people that have but in their name. Let's go back into advanced filters because we really just wanted to find me. And we're going to say equals but and hit apply. And now we've got one person in our filter. What we want to show is we can do all sorts of complex filtering.
I'm just cleaning this up.
And let's go back in now, and we're going to say we also want to include people from a let's say a chapter to start with. So let's add chapter name or chapter equal or contains chief, and let's hit apply on that.
I need the or.
Oh, and change it to an or, and hit apply. And so now we've got everybody who's named me and everybody who is in Chief Pomprock chapter. So let's go back into the advanced filter now, and we're going to add a group, and we're going to leave it as an and we're going to just move that chapter one down into there. So I'll just type in chief there and remove the one up above. And now we're also going to say that we also want to just get the people in Troop 68. So we're going to scroll down and we're going to go to unit number and type equals and then just put in a 68 and hit apply. So now we've found everybody who's dues paid in 2017, 2018 who is in Chief Pomprock chapter Troop 68 or who has the fancy last name of Butt.
And I think we could take it one step further if we did it by date.
Sure, or we can let's just get the Vigil Honor members.
In Troop 68?
Yeah, in Troop 68. Okay. So we'll add a condition, and we'll say level contains Vigil. You can do equals, but it'll just be easier to type in because it says Vigil Honor, so to type a little less. So now we've just got everybody who's named Butt or anybody in Troop 68, Chief Pomprock chapter who's a Vigil Honor member. So just imagine the amount of groupings you can do. If you want to build some very complex custom view that you want to use for something, all of that information is in there and allow you to do that. Yes?
And I know in our sustainability world this is a common question. How do you print that out?
Print out. Oh,
Oh.
so hit cancel. Okay, so we've got our list that we want, and we can do a grid report. We'll add a title, let's say Mike and Troop 68. And we'll do, and we'll just leave it as is. Open report. And now you have a nice viewable, printable report for that. And let's go back. So we can do a couple other things. We can export it. That's going to create an Excel file.
Out of curiosity, we left it in there. How many people still use Excel 2003 file formats? Anybody? Okay.
Great.
Good.
And so
So
here it
now
is
we've
in
got our
Excel.
exported file. So
If so, CSV will take care of it.
Chad, can you go back one more second? All right, so we're going to go to grid data now, and we'll show you. So you could, we're not going to show you right now. Go show the menu instead. You can print membership cards, run labels, or send an email to just these specific people that you found in the grid. All of those work as well. Can you go back into advanced filter, and let's take out that level filter. And hit apply. And now can you group by level, please?
I can group by level.
Okay, so now we've got our Brotherhood Ordeal.
What was that?
I don't know, it's magic. We're not going to tell you how to do that.
Can we run the report for this one quick?
Yeah, so we'll show you how to group it again. But now we're going to say Chad. And what the report does is actually groups on different pages. So we've got a page now for Brotherhood, Ordeal, and Vigil Honor members with the last name of Butt or in Troop 68 Chief Pomperog chapter.
Let's export this.
And then we can export it as well.
Right here.
Yep,
this.
leave it. It's grouped on separate tabs.
That's an important one. Now we'll take a gander at this. Now, when Excel.
And now we've got a separate tab in Excel for brother. So any of your groupings carry forward into tabs in Excel.
So that's done with.
You can do the same thing in events.
We'll demo events.
So I mean, multiple events.
Oh.
Still not going to be possible. Yeah.
You got greedy.
All right.
But
So
we can get this.
So why don't you ungroup by level?
I was going to try to get to the.
Yeah. So I'll just ungroup by level first. Let's go back a step. Okay. So now when you're at the main view, the third button in that last group is called Show Hide Group Panel. You show that, and you can just drag any different
And
thing.
we can group by multiple things.
Yeah,
here.
so you can
if
group
we want to group by youth and adult then.
And level.
Oh, not that. Let's go by
Yes.
level and then youth, because they're all the same chapter.
Right. So now
So
we've got
now-
Brotherhood, Youth, Adult, and now if you print the report,
There we can see that. We do our grid report.
you don't even have to add a type, but yeah, you can add something. So now you'll actually have one page of all the Brotherhood people with breakouts and counts for youth and youth adults and everything. So
And you can sort these as well. The,
Yeah.
The filters
And-
filter.
yeah,
So
and
I
do
only
anything.
now want, I don't know,
Brotherhood and
Brotherhood and
yeah,
Ordeal.
yeah.
and I want to sort by youth and adult.
So youth adult is what used to be youth plus.
Yes,
Yes.
yes.
I
We
can
changed
sort-
it to align with some other documentation for the OA and
But
stuff.
I only want our youth adults. No, I only want adults.
Young adults.
I want young adults.
Youth adults.
There's my, oh, we only have two.
So now if you run the report, that's going to show, and just those two people are going to be in there. And there you go.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, I've got a question here.
Okay.
In my lodge, at end of year, the council is always asking for service hours
Oh.
per chapter.
Okay. I think that's a report
I think
under
it is.
under events.
That is a report, which I think I added a bunch of here.
Annual. Go under annual reports. Now go back. Annual reports. Service hour. Maybe we don't have by chapter. We have by
What's
member.
by detail though? What is this? Is this?
I don't.
Let's look at this. Eh.
That's people.
Yeah. So it's
But you
people. We
could-
could add a grouping by chapter too and do a
Well,
report.
is there any way to do it under the member manager? Could a column be added for service hours that totals up the service hours for each person.
Per,
and then we can-
we'd have to have the definition of what it was per
Yeah.
year, per ever, per. We can think about that. Yeah, let's see what we can do with that. But we can definitely add a static report that just groups by chapter. Yeah.
Yeah. But with version 4, all these things we talk about, it's much easier, I would say, to a point to implement some of this stuff on the new platform, and the things that we've already added. Admittedly, 4 didn't come out when we'd said, but I think the extra time we took on it, to add some of these things prepared us for the future. Adding additional data to the grid and the advanced sorting and filtering will allow us to add features faster in the future. We took that extra time planning ahead for the future.
So we only have about a half hour left. So why don't we do 15 minutes on events?
Yes, and somebody wanted to see import. Is that person still here? Yes. I have an import file. Never do what I'm going to do though, because this is going to make a mess of our database. But that is all right, because Mike and Rob can fix it for me.
Called drop database.
Yes, boss.
So we do have this import file. I've imported this too many times, so these are going to be duplicate records. That's why I say don't do this, because it's going to import them again, and you're going to end up with
Something tells me
4
one of the
butts.
names is Simmons Aikenhead, because there's already 2 in there.
Yes. So when you select your upload file, you can map email. I want this to be, I don't know.
No.
We don't map. Oh, we're not mapping those, are we?
You can map that to home email.
I was looking for custom though. I think that's what you were asking about. Is there a reason we're not allowing that?
We can look at.
Adding that. I thought that was in there, but you can do the other emails though. So you could do the, I don't know.
Get to the system.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yes.
Oh, I'm gonna go back. Where do you want me to go back to?
I know you're uploading a CSV file,
Mm-hmm.
but do you have to have certain headers in that file to?
Not for new members. I mean, you have to have name. That's it. There's a full list on the documentation side of the columns you can import. We'll look at adding the custom contact types.
Yeah, but you don't need to have like a specific column name.
Yeah, because then you map them to what.
You can name them whatever. You do have to have first name and last name though. Those are required in the database.
Yes.
But I could match. So what I could do, we can demo that.
So you can see this here, that like email, for instance, isn't matching up to a known.
Why are you?
column.
Because I was just going to import some data.
But what I've done is gone ahead and exported those out. You can get the right column header, and then we come up and match.
Correct. Yes. That was a request that somebody submitted from 3.0. Is that the export column headers weren't the same as the import column headers, and we cleaned all that up, and it's all synced up now.
So you can import the default emails. You could import multiple of them. If I have another email in my import file, I can import that as well. We'll look at adding custom types. That seems reasonable to add. And then I'll finish this out and we'll hit start import, and in they go. Yes.
So transferring or updating all new Scoutmasters and troop unit
Contact.
information each year, because they're constantly changing rather than going through. I just got the Excel file from my council,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm hitting the brakes on how to.
There's no import functionality for events, but we're going to give you a preview of the future. We can also access the unit data in ScoutNet and pull in the leadership, and our goal is to actually allow you to sync your unit list between ScoutNet and LodgeMaster, so you always have up-to-date information about units and leaders.
If you have a list, I think we could import. If you had a unit number, we could import. I mean,
it's not anything
if it
that's
was crucial, but since the API is coming, if you could look for that.
Can you bring in unit leaders that aren't members now? Because you didn't used to be able to.
Yes, you can add them as non-members, and the one functionality that we didn't get into 4 that's planned is we're going to allow you on that unit screen to just add a person that's not a member, where you just input like their address and phone and email, and that's it, and don't worry about the full member record. Same with events. That's our goal, is to allow you to just add like one-off event attendees. For a guest or something.
So the one thing, somebody asked about importing duplicate BSA IDs, you can. Dues, though, does validate. So if you're importing dues, you can't import multiple times, but members you can. Just pointing that out.
So, question,
Mm-hmm.
now that we're using
Though there's no automatic move between lodges at this point. There's somewhat from a security perspective and that. So you'd have to re-input the information, but you could have the old lodge run the individual history report, which literally has just about every piece of information in the database, and pass that off to you to input. But a lot of times you don't really want to import it because the event history and stuff, you'd be like importing events that aren't yours and stuff like that, so it could make a lot of mess.
He's like a visual member and has all his dates.
Yes, yes.
Yes.
Okay, here's a question for the export function, like moving between lodges. Could you build a module to export just the basic data, their dates, the
You can-
name, membership ID?
You can do that now.
You could by building it yourself, but we could look at just an export of a single row that would make it easier to import into a new lodge.
Yeah.
I think that's actually on the enhancement list already. So,
And then administrators could
yeah,
exchange.
right, they could
Right,
send
yeah.
that. You could USB thumb drive that over to the new lodge and plug it in, or
All right,
email.
so we're going to jump to events because there are some new features here I want to get through, and I want to leave a few minutes for questions. So
Yeah,
we're
we have a
gonna
couple
zip right into
closing
events.
slides too. So let's do it. We'll hold the questions to the end at this point. I know it's hard. But we want to cover just a little in events,
And we'll
and
be
we have a
here
couple.
after as well.
We have a couple closing slides too. So
All right, so we're going to look at. I don't think I did this one. I did do that one. So the new thing. So this is all the same. Adding events. I'm not going to go through that. That's basic.
could you just hit edit on an event? So that lodge-wide
Oh,
checkbox
yes,
is what
yes.
you would clear to
Unclear that.
remove.
Oh, that is a bug. That's a known bug.
We can't clear it?
No, you can't clear it. It's a known
And I
bug.
want to be able to.
Okay, we'll fix that.
It's already on the list.
Yeah.
Oh, it's already okay. Yeah,
Okay.
I didn't know
realize
about that.
Yes.
That was the issue. That
Okay,
Okay.
we'll get that fixed right away.
Somebody. Yeah. It's been.
That's an easy fix. So.
it's there.
Yeah.
Okay.
If we could, once we add that, you'll be able to unlock
Yeah,
it.
you should just be able to uncheck.
But what I wanted to show is this new fees module. So the idea behind this was we had this in version 3, but it
Never worked.
Well, it didn't do anything.
didn't do anything. It worked. It just didn't do anything. So now we can add our fee of ordeal. We are going to make an improvement to this, and I'll point it out. We're going to add our ordeal. What are the dates? 31st. This is. We'll go. Yes. Yes. These dates are not locked, but whatever. I can leave those blank, and then I'm going to add VIP, and then I want to add, I think you call them gold cards or something.
Gold pass.
Gold pass.
And that's an annual pass. So I set my fees up by fitting fees, and you can add, I guess, an infinite number of fees there.
But it's still a single fee. You know, you're only going to be able to put one record on each
Yeah.
person, on each attendee.
So we have our fees set up. You've created the event. The idea is you'd add the fees. You'd start adding people to the event as they register. This event just magically has everybody in it already. So then when I'm adding, we'll add somebody. We'll add Mr. Butt to the event.
First one.
Our first, here we go. So this is why we cleared that dues record. So he brings in all the information. I can see his dues are not paid. What a slacker.
Would you like to pay them for me?
We accept Bitcoin. You can pay that way. We deactivated gold. We'll reactivate it.
Let me get the
So I do
brick
want to
out.
point out it does youth protection's red because he's also lacking in the youth protection department. He hasn't completed the new YPT2 or
And
whatever
the
they
youth
call it.
protection rules all apply to the new YPT2 stuff. So.
So he comes to the event and he actually has it paid. We'll put it. Well, first I'll leave it not paid. This is where the fees come in. So he is a good member. He bought a gold pass. That's not realistic because he doesn't have his dues paid. But pretend it does fill in. I wanted to show it does fill in annual pass right here if he pays with that. If he's a regular arrowman.
Once it fills in once, it doesn't clear it.
Can we add?
Michael?
What?
It's not a glitch. It's just maybe a feature enhancement.
Yeah,
sorry, I missed
if you change the payment type and the payment method's already filled in to annual pass, if we could just clear it out if it's not an annual pass one again.
But you can change this.
We could look at doing that.
This is where your payment types come in. Again, not a free-form field. He prepaid is $20. You can put his receipt number in. He brought his health form because he was supposed to. And then if you hit save, it adds him. Now if we go to check Mr. Butt in. Now I hit check in. All right, he's checking in. Oops, we have some errors. His dues are not paid, no youth protection. No, I don't want to check him in. He actually pays his dues. I hit this. This dues payment window is the same throughout LodgeMaster. Anywhere you hit pay dues, looks the exact same, functions the exact same. We'll put in his receipt number. Not like that, though. There we go. He paid, this is my favorite, cash online. No idea how. We'll hit save.
Also known as Bitcoin.
Yeah. If we hit check in, now we just have the one error. I can hit yes and check him in. He's in. To check him out, I hit edit and fill in a checkout date. We are adding a checkout button. If you change the simple, though, there is an out button. But we will be adding that. You can change the check-in mode with the cog wheel on the top right to interactive. Interactive, this is set in your Lodge config, what the default is. What else did I want to show? The grouping. This grid is just like the member grid. The controls are all here. The advanced filtering, I mean, not all of it's there because we're already in an event, but you can add a custom there. You can do by groups and column chooser and delete the attendee. That's all the same. We have all the built-in reports. You can add custom reports in here. The big thing I wanted to show was the fees. What time?
The other new feature too.
You guys are aware
Locking.
that cog's not working in United Explorer, right?
No,
No.
but we are now.
No.
We'll make if you want to email us.
You can sit there and change it whatever you want, but it doesn't save it.
Hmm.
Once you click the check,
Okay.
it gives you the current date, so that's not working.
Oh, you're talking about you're talking about these dates when you change them.
Yeah, I saw that on the
That came
iPad.
in-
I saw that on the
Somebody
iPad
yesterday had that.
Yeah,
we're
we
gonna
have
look
that
at
on our list.
Yeah, we have that on our list.
I
to
mean,
look
it
at.
works in like Chrome and Firefox.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll take a look at
We'll
it.
look at it.
Yeah.
The other there's nothing else new that I want to show. There's the wizards and all that are the same. But what I do want to show, the final thing in events before we go back to our PowerPoint, is this lock. So you can lock the event. And it tells you can't make changes. Then what happens when you go into manage, you can't add or remove people. So it locks the event. So once you've finalized everything for the event, your attendees afterwards, you can lock it, prevent people from, for some reason, deleting someone or adding someone. And that permission is restricted
To event setup.
to event setup. So if you lock it and the person doesn't have event setup, they won't be able to unlock it. They can look at it and they can run all the reports. They just can't change the event data, which is a new feature which will hopefully make it, you can control then your events and their final and the data there.
With the appropriate permissions, though,
Mhm.
if it was locked, you realized you actually did want to change something.
Yeah,
you
so-
could unlock it.
Yeah.
We need to
Yes.
we need to fix this icon and change the text. But if you hit lock again,
Oh.
it'll
the
unlock
icon.
it.
Oh.
It's
Yeah.
on the list.
Okay.
It's unlocked. You can go in and then you can make changes. So yes.
Did you just say the person who creates the event is the person who can lock it and unlock it?
Anybody with event setup permissions.
Yeah.
So that could be anybody with.
So it's separate from managing events. There's a separate permission.
Yeah.
Can also be restricted somewhere along the line, because we have chapter advisors who can set up events because they're chapter events.
So you don't.
Locking out lodge events.
If it's set up as a chapter event, they wouldn't, and you don't give them lodge-wide access to events, they won't be able to modify the lodge-wide events. So there's separate. That's why it can be a lodge-wide event, or you can choose a chapter. That separates that out with permissions. All right.
So we're gonna get out of the demo
15.
because we have about 15 minutes. I want to have time for questions. We'll be around for a little bit afterwards. So where we're going. In the near future, I'm hearing a week or 2 weeks. We're going to fix some of the little bugs, the selection things.
And adding membership cards.
Membership cards. So little things like that. I know some of you have submitted them. we apologize. They've been out there for a little while since we released, but NOAC, the team was busy with NOAC. Now that that is done, we will get back to working on LodgeMaster. So in the near future, bug fixes, enhancements, the charter and JTE will be added by October. Is that what
October 1st, when the mailing goes out.
Inventory and finance modules by the end of the year. Membership verification and YPT verification, which we talked about, by the end of the year as well. And all through that time, we'll be doing bug fixes and small enhancements. We'll be rolling out our new, we'll be rolling out our new feature enhancement request site, and we'll start looking at maybe some of the common ones and see what we can do to implement them. We're developing, this will be a next year item, a unit elections portal where you'll be able, units or scoutmasters or unit leaders will be able to request an election online. Election teams will be able to upload election information. You'll be able to move them right into your database from this module. It'll handle all the scheduling, and it'll be an online self-service portal. I'm saying total election management solution online. No more, you could get rid of paper forms completely if your lodge chooses. I'll get your question at the end.
At the end of the year? On this, you're going to include all the Sea Scouts building, all that?
Yes. We'll be following all BSA and OA.
Yeah, so we've committed to this as a national organization for the OA. Actually, on last, I don't know, whatever it was, the days are blurring, night, the OA committee voted to focus on 3 main goals for next year and the upcoming years to get everybody to be a high-performing lodge. And one of those is unit elections, and that's one that we play a big part in. So that's a top priority for us and something we'll be implementing much sooner rather than later. So
I want to keep going because there are a couple more things. Next year, this will be a for sure next year thing. We're going to add an online member portal where members of your lodge will be able to log in. They'll be able to pay their dues, register for lodge events, register for national events, see events they're registered for, see when they're eligible for Brotherhood. It'll probably even have a little button that says you're eligible. Click here to see Brotherhood events, and I'll register. What all this looks like, we haven't for sure built it out, but they'll be able to get electronic membership cards. So I think we could have a functionality where they get an email that says your card's ready to view or something.
Yep.
Whatever Mike and Rob are able to throw in there for us.
There are a couple other people who are helping with programming on that committee as well.
Yes.
They're just not here today, or they're on other staff. So.
They're away. But that's the portal. There will be other things I'm sure that we add to this, but that's the starting.
The goal though is to be able to do online registration for events and pay dues right through our
right
system instead of having to use a council system or something else like that.
Thank you.
And that'll feed right into events and everything will feed.
And the key is we have the data to do it properly. It can show the events you have registered for and the ones you haven't registered for. It can say you're eligible for Brotherhood. Here's the 4 upcoming events that have Brotherhood. It can say you're a candidate, and here's the candidate events that are still left based on all that setup information. So we can customize the experience so people actually see what they need to see. If you're paid dues for the year, we won't show information about paying dues for the year. If you aren't, we'll show that right at the top. You haven't paid your dues yet. Click here to do, Gold Pass or pay the regular fee. All that information we can leverage from the system. We're still working out some of the finance stuff, and that's why it's still in the planning process, but our goal is to support something, either an authorized.net account or a PayPal account to start with, as the things that will allow you to set up so you can use your council's authorized.net account to actually take payments, and the money side will all be on the council. We don't have to worry about collecting or passing off money from the national organization to the council. It'll just all be there and ready to go.
So moving on, because we're down, my watch is dead, but we have about 10 minutes. Here's our support options, our documentation. Dave, I've been getting notifications going to town on our documentation lately, so there's lots of good documentation there. Thank you, Dave.
He was adding suggestions during the class of things people had questions about.
So if you want to help with documentation, or you know somebody that likes writing documentation, have them email us up there, that address, and we'll hook them up with a job. We would love having documentation writers. I'm not a fan. We also have a new feature request site coming, which we talked about, so we'll be able to put your ideas in and vote on them. We'll pick up the ones with the most activity on them and work on implementing them. The ones that don't have any activity, we're not going to look at. Now it's a manual process. The 3 of us sit down and go through the list there was like 300 of them. I think we're down.
Yeah, so there were over 300 feature requests open as of before we released 4.0, and we were able to solve over 100 of those as part of the 4.0 release. So of the 300 things people have asked for over the years since version 1, we were able to close a third of them with the 4.0 release. But there's still about 190 still open, and we're going to move all those to the feature site and let people submit their feedback as to what we should work on.
Yeah, that takes off the responsibility of us, picking out what people want and
what we think they want.
What we think people want. So the user group, that's an email thing. I'll show you how to join. Oh, a lot of pictures. So there's the user group is going to be changing after NOAC. Well, a couple weeks, maybe not 2, but 3 maybe. We'll be rolling out a new user group with new email and all the fun stuff that goes with the user group. We have a LodgeMaster user group, a forum on Facebook that's pretty active. We are going to be doing additional webinars. We're going to be doing one a month is the plan until probably the planning meeting after that. We'll see. Maybe as new features roll out, we'll do them. Yes.
I was going to point out if that docs URL up there for the support center is too long to remember, if you go to the page he told you to bookmark for logging into LodgeMaster, it's right under the login link.
I will show that. That's actually that is kind of long. That's where it's at. If you have questions, email us. Please don't email us individually. Your email is almost guaranteed. If you email me, to get lost or just not answer. If you can email us at the support address, that way we get a ticket created and can track that. We don't lose them that way.
Yes, the problem is it's very hard for us to keep up on personal email, especially since we split responsibilities across the group. So we just ask you to email the support address. It goes into the queue, and we have a lot of people looking at that and directing things where they need to go. So
no, they'll tag us in the ticket. If you want to talk, if it's something we told you to email us, if you put in your email to that support, just say Chad.
This is for Chad or Mike
this is for
or
Chad
Rob.
or for Mike. Somebody like Dave will assign it to one of us, and we'll get an email that we need to look at it, and we'll respond there. We also can link between projects and stuff in there, so there's just a lot of nice features if you email us that way. At this time, we'll open it up for questions. I'll leave this on so we can, if you want to see something on the screen, we can throw it up there. With that, though, thank you for coming. We'll take questions.
Yeah.
Yes. And